Naruto, the rise of the Uzumaki Clan. Welcome back, brave explorers of impossible worlds. We are excited to have you here to continue this odyssey together. Before we continue, everything you'll hear is pure fiction. So please don't try to replicate combat techniques at home. This wonderful story in all its rights belong to its brilliant original author. We are only the messengers of entertainment. Want another dose of adventure? Subscribe to our YouTube channel so you don't miss a single chapter. And if you can't wait, our Patreon has exclusive surprises you'll love. Chapter 351 Demonstration. This. Uzumaki-jun frowned, seemingly finding Lan Wei and the others' demands very harsh. After a moment's hesitation, he sighed and said, "Your conditions, I agreed." However, before the water country officials could even show any excitement. But Uzumaki-jun's face darkened. The Mizuki clan must be captured by Kurigakure, and they must all be brought alive to Uzumaki for execution. Since that's the case, let Kurigakure play the bad cop again. This. Lan Wei frowned, then nodded and said, "All right. The daimyo should agree. After all, the infamy would be borne by Kurigakure, not by the water country." Someone. Seeing Lan Wei agree, Uzumaki-jun quickly shouted, "Your Highness-jun." Zumu stepped forward and bowed respectfully. "Send someone to fetch Frostmourne." "Yes." Upon hearing the order, Zumu immediately turned and left. A short while later, a middle-aged man in a black trench coat, his chin covered, revealing only a pair of green, beady eyes, walked in, carrying a huge iron box with a serious expression. The ancient iron box was still covered with densely packed and complex jutsu seals. The water country official immediately guessed that this was probably the same iron box on the right hand of the daimyo of the whirlpool country, used to seal the overflowing power of the legendary ninja sword. However, just as Kokuzu entered carrying the box and carefully placed it in front of Uzumaki-jun's table, an old man with gray hair and a cane rushed in from behind. "I disagree," the old man shouted, leaning on his cane. "This ninja sword absolutely cannot be given to the land of water. The power of Frostmourne is far too strong. The slightest mistake could bring disaster to the land of whirlpools. Therefore, this ninja sword must remain in our country. It cannot be sold, absolutely cannot be sold." "Shut up." Uzumaki-jun glanced coldly at the old man and said indifferently, "Guards, take the Grand Elder away." Whoosh whoosh. Several Uzumaki ninjas immediately appeared on either side of the Grand Elder, and then, forcibly dragged him back. "You can't sell it," the Grand Elder cried out in anguish. "This is the ninja sword of the land of whirlpools. You absolutely cannot sell it. If someone were to truly master the power of Frostmourne, it would inevitably bring harm to the entire ninja world. Then you, Uzumaki-san, will be a sinner of the land of whirlpools." "No." Everyone in the meeting room watched the old man, who had just rushed in, being dragged away, until his voice could no longer be heard. "Is that enough?" The elder patted the hands of the two ninjas beside him, shook his head, and said, "What exactly does this little Sun want to do? He's an old man, and he's being dragged here to act. If there's nothing else, I'll head back to the research institute. There's still a lot for him to do there." Then, leaning on his cane, he slowly left. "Don't worry about that old codger." Uzumaki-san sneered, "It's just a mere ninja sword. In a few years, I'll..." Before he could finish speaking, he looked at the water country official in front of him. "Pay up." Daimyo of the land of whirlpools. Lan Wei exchanged a glance with a ninja behind him, stepped forward, and said, "Could we at least take a look at the ninja sword? Pay before even seeing the goods? Does he really think he's been the Minister of Finance all these years for nothing? Moreover, this daimyo of the land of whirlpools is far too arrogant. No wonder he became a powerful figure at a young age. He probably truly disdains such foreign power. Perhaps he even believes he can obtain the power of a legendary ninja sword on his own." HMPH. Uzumaki-san snorted coldly, looking at the specially made iron box in his hand, and formed a hand seal. Crack! Crack! The entire box trembled, and then, thump! The four sides fell down, and instantly, a simple, ancient blue sword hilt appeared before them, lying quietly. However, it seemed unremarkable. Lan Wei and the others frowned, looking at the quietly lying ninja sword. Was this fake? Seeing this, Uzumaki-san narrowed his eyes and said calmly, "It seems things have calmed down." Calmed down. Hearing Uzumaki-san's words, Lan Wei and the others suddenly understood. So this is what it looks like as long as the sword spirit hasn't been awakened. But, in that case, how could they know if this ninja sword was real? After all, only 2 people in the entire ninja world have successfully awakened a ninja sword. Even if you give us a fake one, we won't be able to tell the difference. The officials of the Land of Water looked at each other, and finally, Lan Wei cautiously stepped forward and said, "Then, sir, could you, use it for a moment?" But seeing the increasingly sour face of the daimyo of the Land of Whirlpools, he dared not say it aloud. But with so much money, without checking the goods, they really dared not pay. HMPH. Uzumaki soon snorted coldly, then sealed the ninja sword again, and said indifferently, "Come with me." Uzumaki soon led a group of people to the seaside. If it weren't for the need to sell the ninja sword for 60 billion, he wouldn't have wanted to go through all this trouble. "Stand here." He addressed the ninja behind him with a stern, expressionless voice, "Don't approach." But Prince Soon Zimu looked at Soon's right hand with concern, saying, "Your hand." "It's all right." Soon shook his head, saying, "I'll be more careful this time." Then, bang! In an instant, he released the seal on his right hand and ninja sword, throwing them to the ground, then grabbed the sword and rushed into the sea. "Ice!" Soon was about to shout, but PFFT. His face changed drastically, and he spat out a mouthful of blood. Instantly, a section of the sea froze, and Soon quickly returned to the shore, throwing away his ninja sword and kneeling on one knee. "Medical ninja, hurry!" Zimu shouted upon seeing this, and the sealing team. As soon as he finished speaking, crack, crack, the ninja sword and Soon's right hand were sealed again. Uzumaki-jun wiped the blood from his mouth and said, "I'm fine." He stood up weakly, looked at the officials of the Land of Water, and said calmly, "I advise you all, if you don't have the strength of a cage, don't use this ninja sword." "I understand." The officials of the Land of Water stared in horror at the frozen sea. Although it wasn't as large as last time, it was still terrifying. Sure enough, the daimyo of the Land of Whirlpools was planning to sell the ninja sword, probably because he thought it was too useless. After all, looking at his increasingly pale face, the bright red blood at the corner of his mouth, and the fact that his aura was becoming weaker, the officials of the Land of Water were filled with doubt about whether they could find a way to control the power of this ninja sword in their country. Could they have taken back a useless sword? But seeing the displeased look on the faces of the Whirlpool ninja staring at them, they didn't dare to return it. After all, it was the daimyo who had asked them to buy it. They could deal with the rest when they got back. Quickly, get the ninja to hand over the money. Suddenly, swish, swish, a Uzumaki ninja with a beady green eye stepped forward, instantly hiding all the money. He nodded calmly to Uzumaki-jun and said, "The amount is correct." Then he turned and left, leaving behind a group of dumbfounded Uzumaki ninja and water country officials. Chapter 2. That's all. Chapter 352 Letter. Respected clan chief, greetings. Our team came to the Land of Whirlpools to investigate as requested by the clan. 5 days have passed since then, and we've discovered that this place isn't as simple as it's portrayed. Upon arrival, we were stopped by Whirlpool Ninja and required to complete immigration procedures. If you're a ninja, you must seal your chakra, supposedly to prevent foreign spies from infiltrating and causing damage. At first, Zeta and I weren't very familiar with the place, but we've gotten used to it over time. As long as you abide by the law, you'll generally be fine. Of course, anyone who doesn't break the law is protected by the Land of Whirlpools. If someone bullies you or you're scammed, you can call the police at the Whirlpools police station. They'll help you resolve the issue. When I first arrived, I was deceived by a white-haired conman claiming to be one of the 3 legendary Sannin of Konoha, the Toad Sage, which resulted in my bounty for many years of missions going unpaid. I hope the clan chief will inform the clan members that if they encounter any trouble, they should immediately seek help from the police. We also conducted a covert investigation into the Uchiha clan. Although we were eventually discovered, since they hadn't broken any laws, they were only warned not to obstruct the law and were fine. However, through some discreet inquiries, we discovered that they didn't face discrimination here. In fact, they lived quite well, which was truly enviable. The common people here weren't emaciated like in other countries. Instead, they all had smiles on their faces because they supported themselves and had meat and vegetables at every meal. In the Land of Whirlpools, there are many ways to support oneself, such as working in the fields, fishing in the sea, farming, or working for large companies with very attractive salaries. For example, the famous God Honey Company is known for its high wages and excellent benefits. The Agricultural Research Center also recruits farmers and researchers with very good compensation. Because we were deceived by a white-haired man, all the money we brought with us was gone, and Zeta and the others didn't have a penny either. In the end, Zeta and the others could only go to the fields to carry bricks. Since we are ninjas, we get a subsidy for carrying bricks. Ruling went to the textile factory, which I heard is mostly female employees, so it's more suitable for her. Also, when you come to the land of whirlpools, you must be prepared to abide by the law. Don't act impulsively when you encounter unfamiliar places. You can ask others for help, everyone will be very helpful. Of course, if you accidentally break the law because you are unfamiliar with it, don't do anything reckless. Unless it's something serious like murder or arson, if you are arrested, please do not resist and cooperate fully. You will be fined once you are bailed out. I hope the clan leader will restrain the clan members and prevent them from causing trouble. On another note, since there are no ninja villages in the land of whirlpools, ninjas cannot take on side jobs. If the Tsuchigumo clan really wants to survive here, they must prepare sufficient funds beforehand. I heard that one clan, because they didn't prepare enough beforehand, took out a loan from the infamous black-faced god of the land of whirlpools, and only paid it off a few years ago by doing manual labor. Of course, some clans have become wealthy because they have a special skill. I heard that God Honey is a family business, and there's also a bright red, bouncy dessert called something like Maozu Wang, a spicy Sichuan dish, which was also made by a family. They've now paid off their loans and are on the road to wealth. Oh, right, I forgot to mention that when they join the land of whirlpools, the children in the clan can go to school for free, regardless of whether they become ninjas or not. I heard that they can learn a lot of different things there, including ninja, medical, and even physics. Moreover, graduates from the academy earn very high salaries, higher than ordinary ninjas. I don't know the details yet, but I'll go to the academy to inquire when I have time. Because of work, Zeta and I haven't had time to go back to the village, and we didn't have any mailhawks with us. But we heard that a post office had just been established in the land of whirlpools, allowing migrant workers to write letters home. So, I tried it out. I don't know if the clan chief received it. If not, Zeta and I will have a vacation in a month and we'll return to the village then. As for Ruling, we don't know when she'll get her vacation because we work in different locations. We are all doing well in the land of whirlpools, so there's no need for the clan to worry. Best wishes to the clan chief and elders for good health. May the Tsuchigumo clan prosper. July 6, Konoha 43. The Tsuchigumo clan chief frowned, finished reading the letter in his hand, pondered for a moment, then looked up at the elders and said, "What do you think?" This letter was brought by someone wearing a vest with a Uzumaki Clan crest. Could he be the postman Atsushi mentioned? He was quite polite, even asking if he had any mail to send back, but because they weren't familiar with each other and he was afraid someone would read his letter, he refused. But, he didn't even know if the letter was real or fake. After all, the future of the clan was in his hands, and he dared not act rashly. A slight mistake, and the entire clan might be wiped out. The elders looked at each other, and finally said helplessly, "We don't know either." After all, they got the letter from someone else, how could they possibly know the truth? And what about Atsushi and the others? Was this letter real? Or was it a trap, that Atsushi and the others had already been captured by the Uzumaki ninja, and then the Uzumaki ninja forced them to write it, intending to lure the Tsuchigumo clan over? The more they thought about it, the more frightened they became. For such a major matter for the clan, they dared not act recklessly. Wasn't Tsuchigumo Atsushi supposed to return in a month? The second elder frowned and said, "Why don't we wait a month and then personally question Atsushi?" The clan chief shook his head with a bitter smile and said, "It might not be possible." "What does the clan chief mean?" the elders asked. Had something happened to their clan again? The entire ninja world is buzzing with rumors that the Tsuchigumo clan will form an alliance with Konoha. The clan chief sighed, speaking helplessly. "The Kumagakure village has their eyes on us. This is outrageous." The elders slammed their fists on the table, stood up, and demanded, "Who spread this rumor?" They hadn't even made a decision yet. Finally, as if remembering something, they sighed sadly and sat down helplessly. Konoha was pressuring them to make a decision quickly. "How about we send a few more people to investigate?" The second elder frowned, thought for a moment, sighed, and said, "Send more people this time, and I'll go with you. I think we can escape even if there's danger." They were really worried about sending the entire clan without knowing the full situation. This second elder. The clan chief hesitated upon hearing the second elder's words, then seemed to have made a decision, stood up, and bowed. "Then we'll leave it to you, sir." This was the only option they had right now. "It's all right." The second elder waved his hand, speaking earnestly, "This is all for the sake of that Uzumaki clan. If the land of whirlpools is really as good as Atsushi described, what does it matter if the entire Uzumaki clan sacrifices themselves for it? The only fear is, Atsushi and the others have already been controlled." The clan leader and elders exchanged glances, sighing helplessly in return. Hopefully, nothing bad will happen to Atsushi and the others. The land of whirlpools. Achoo, achoo. Atsushi rubbed his nose, muttering, "Got a cold? Impossible. He's only been doing manual labor lately, how could he possibly catch a cold?" He sighed inwardly. He wondered if the clan leader and the others had received a letter. Then, looking up at Zeta, who was devouring meat, he quickly reached for his chopsticks. "Enough. Leave some of this braised pork for me. I'm your uncle." How disrespectful to an elder. Chapter 1. Chapter 353 Preparing to Ascend to Heaven. The Land of Whirlpools. The Mechanical Department. "Chira, what brings you here?" Uzumaki-jun frowned as he entered the mechanical department. Looking at the three men dressed in white uniforms, heads down, working diligently, he frowned again and said, What's going on? Why are Haruko and Orochimaru here too? Could it be some major invention?" After the war, he handed Orochimaru over to Haruko. One reason was to have Haruko appease Orochimaru, to stop him from acting recklessly, otherwise, when he intervened, there wouldn't be a chance to shed his skin. The other reason was, Orochimaru was the god of technology in the ninja world. Proficient in biology, physics, chemistry, mechanics, etc. Preliminary estimates suggest his science and technology are a generation ahead of the entire ninja world. If he cooperates obediently, wouldn't the mecha of the land of whirlpools really be able to be developed? After all, Orochimaru is a technological genius who will create a mechanical Naruto and a mechanical Nine Tails in the future. Now it seems the cooperation is going quite well. "Oh, you're here." Kaienluo looked up at Uzumaki-sun excitedly and said, "We succeeded?" "Success with what?" Uzumaki-sun frowned and said excitedly, "Did they actually build the Gundam? So fast? Orochimaru was only captured for about half a month, how could their technology have advanced so much?" Just as he was glancing around, trying to spot the Gundam. "No." Chiro said irritably, "That's not what I meant." "I see." Uzumaki-sun sighed regretfully, "Then why did you call me here?" "A satellite." Chiro raised an eyebrow, "You're a big shot, I'll give you face," and then said helplessly, "The communication satellite you mentioned, we've already built it." "Really?" Uzumaki-sun was immediately surprised, "So fast?" Then, looking at Orochimaru beside him who was smiling and saying nothing, "It seems our prisoners have been quite helpful." "No, they just offered some suggestions." Orochimaru humbly licked his lips and said, "I didn't expect the land of whirlpools to have such an interesting place. Were those chakra cannons and those golden armors invented here? All the countries are researching ninjutsu and training ninjas, but I didn't expect the land of whirlpools to be researching technology and training high-tech talent. What an interesting daimyo of the land of whirlpools. And, the scientific ninja tools they bought from Akatsuki, and that legendary ninja sword that was causing such a ruckus." He saw it all. This daimyo of the land of whirlpools really has the entire ninja world under his thumb. That idiot Jiraiya stayed in the land of whirlpools for so long, didn't he even bother to investigate properly? If he had known earlier, perhaps they wouldn't have suffered such a crushing defeat. Orochimaru sighed inwardly. However, Uzumaki-jun patted his shoulder and said calmly, 5 years. As long as you stay in the land of whirlpools obediently for 5 years and cooperate with their research, I'll let you go back. How? Orochimaru licked his lips, smiled, and was about to say something when Uzumaki-jun stretched out his right hand and stabbed Orochimaru in the stomach. Don't do such tricks again. He hadn't expected Orochimaru to be able to weaken the seal under these circumstances. Given more time, the seal might actually be broken. No wonder he can live to be 100 years old while wandering around everywhere. But now, it's hopeless. Uzumaki-jun has strengthened the seal. He can just check on it every now and then. After all, he's Orochimaru. Who knows what kind of accident might happen again? And Orochimaru, sensing the seal had been strengthened, he frowned, then smiled, squinted, licked his lips, and said calmly, "I will cooperate." He hadn't expected to be discovered. If he had a little more time, he could have broken the seal, but now, there was no hope. "Sorry." Hiruko's face immediately showed apology upon hearing Uzumaki-jun's words, and he said, "It's all my fault for being too careless." Because he was an old classmate and a good friend back then, he had relaxed a bit, but he didn't expect. He glared fiercely at Orochimaru. After get off work, he wouldn't take him to the food street anymore, he would make him eat in the cafeteria for a whole year. "It's alright." Uzumaki soon waved his hand and said, "Just be more careful next time." Then, looking at Kaienlul, he asked, "Where's the satellite?" "It's here." Kaienlul led Uzumaki soon inside and said, "After testing, it can indeed transmit information, as well as the images and sounds you mentioned." "Oh?" Uzumaki soon was stunned upon hearing this. "Television has been developed too." "Indeed, it has been developed." Kaienlul nodded and said, "The technology isn't difficult, it's basically all existing technology." "I see." Uzumaki soon stroked his chin and murmured, "It seems a television station should be established as well. Then, television should be promoted. And the spiritual civilization of the people of the land of whirlpools should also be gradually developed. We should make several films to see if the Uchiha clan really needs to lose comrades and family members to awaken a Mangekyou Sharingan. If it's really just a matter of intense emotional fluctuations, then we'll establish a GD bureau and have all the Uchiha clan members go in. All film sources will need to be reviewed by them before they can be broadcast, and only those that cause them emotional fluctuations will be good films. Here it is." Kaienlul pointed to a strange cylinder in front of him, with two wings attached to it, and said, "This is just the first generation, only for preliminary experiments. Other experiments will require you to send it into space. It does look quite similar." Uzumaki soon squinted at the communication satellite and said, "But what does sending me into space mean? You haven't built the thrusters and rockets yet?" He frowned, looking at Kaienlul and the others. "That shouldn't be difficult right now. There's no reason for that. Has the higher-ups not allocated funds? Is there not enough money?" "Indeed, it's not difficult." Kaienlul nodded and said, "The higher-ups have allocated funds. I heard that Blackface God made a fortune a few days ago, so he's very generous and allocated a large sum." Uzumaki soon coughed awkwardly twice and said, "Then, what's going on?" "I heard you say there are people on the moon," Kaienlul said helplessly, spreading her hands. "I'm worried that if we send things up there randomly, we'll get shot down." "People?" Orochimaru's eyes lit up when he heard Kaienlul's words, then narrowed again. "It seems, the land of whirlpools knows something. Is that so?" Uzumaki soon nodded and said, "That's true, it would be troublesome if we got shot down. In that case, get ready, I'll send it up in a few days." He'd only rested for a few days, and now he had to work again. He was destined to be a workaholic. After going up, he'd chat with the Uzumaki clan, talk about their ideals, and tell them to be careful not to destroy anything strange they saw. Then, he walked over to Orochimaru and patted him on the shoulder. Then he said to Kaienlul and the others, "If there's nothing else, I'll be leaving now." It was a big deal after all. He should go back and discuss it. "Alright, you should go now." Kaienlul nodded and said, "We have a lot of things to do next, we don't have time to take care of you." "Fine. You have the skills, I'll tolerate it." Uzumaki soon sighed and left using the Flying Thunder God technique. The larger the team, the harder it is to manage. Only Orochimaru squinted at the spot where Uzumaki soon had left, muttering, "Immortality? What exactly does this daimyo of the land of whirlpools want to do by telling him all this?" Chapter 2, Nothing More. Chapter 354 Conspiracy. Konoha. The intense war still lingered in the village's atmosphere. Everyone sensed something unusual, much like the 4 ninja villages logging operations before World War II. But, why were there so many people wanting to cut down trees lately? They were allies just a few days ago, how could things have changed so quickly? Fear gripped the village. Back when the Senju and Uchiha clans were still there, the legendary Sannin hadn't left, and the White Fang hadn't been forced to his death, perhaps the village's leadership wasn't afraid of the other ninja villages. But now, everything was gone. The only remaining powerful figure was the Hokage. So now, they could only hope that the Hokage possessed the strength to pacify the ninja world like the first Hokage. Otherwise, Konoha was doomed. Danzo sighed inwardly, observing the bustling crowd around him. He turned back, squinting at the newly appointed Hyuga clan leader, and said, "Clan leader Hayashi, won't you invite this old man in for a drink?" He had barely arrived at the Hyuga clan's gate when he was stopped by the guards, who then scrambled in, trembling, saying they would report to their leader. Had his reputation really fallen so low? He'd already said, the Senju clan was wiped out because they protected their village, the Uchiha clan was wiped out, ugh, they were living perfectly well in the land of whirlpools. As for the Uchiha in Konoha, that was all their clan leaders doing. He was merely there to collect bodies. And Hatake Tsukumo, that was truly an accident. He'd just gone to persuade him this morning, and then that night he committed suicide. Could he be blamed? Danzo felt utterly exhausted. He'd worked so hard to protect Konoha, so why did these people look at him like he was a tailed beast, their eyes filled with fear? Were some things really unrelated to him? He'd been living a life of constant fear lately. Luckily, because of Shin Uchiha's problem, he'd placed the tongue-severing seal on the root organization early on, otherwise, the old monkey would probably have sidelined him. But now, finally, hope had arrived. Hirozen's repeated mistakes had angered the Fire Country daimyo. Perhaps the daimyo's displeasure wasn't a big deal, but this way, he could at least ascend to the Hokage position openly, instead of sneaking around like now. After all, now, besides Hirozen, the strongest force in Konoha was Danzo. If he didn't become Hokage, who was qualified? Hell, Advisor Danzo, you know what I mean, Hayashi said calmly, looking at Danzo with his Byakugan. The Hyuga clan really isn't suitable for you. Did he really think his title was a joke? Anyway, the Hyuga clan is too large and powerful to withstand your antics, so let's talk outside. He doesn't want to become like the Senju, Uchiha, or Hatake clans. Sigh. Danzo sighed, helplessly saying, you all have a prejudice against me. Although he wasn't as handsome as Hirozen, he considered himself a high-ranking member of the village who loved it. Why did these clans dislike him so much? Sure enough, if this continued, even if he was nominated for Hokage, the clans below probably wouldn't accept it. We're all from the same village, we'll run into each other again. Speak your mind if you have any opinions. He could think of a reason to retaliate against the Hyuga clan. After all, Danzo was a reasonable person. The Hyuga clan has no objections, Hayashi said calmly, his eyes wide. What business does Advisor Danzo have with my Hyuga clan today? Just say it. Aren't you going to invite this old man in for a drink? Danzo looked at Hayashi and said, this isn't the Hyuga clan's way of treating guests. Saying it right here. Danzo has no shame. Someone come here. Hayashi called out calmly upon hearing Danzo's words, bring a table, bring tea. Then, still rolling his eyes at Danzo. Advisor Danzo, please wait a moment. You. Danzo clutched his chest. This is too much? No wonder Hirozen dislikes the Hyuga clan. Rolling his eyes at everyone he sees, who can be in a good mood? He took a deep breath and touched his bandaged right eye. This is something the Hyuga clan brought upon themselves. Danzo, isn't bad looking, just a bit too much bandage, but today he came here. He really just wanted to deliver a message. And they didn't even offer him a cup of hot tea. Lord Hokage, order the Hyuga clan to the battlefield immediately. Danzo said coldly, staring at Hayashi. The front lines are in dire need of attention, there can be no more delay. Furthermore, Konoha's strength is currently severely depleted, and this is precisely the time when a powerful clan like the Hyuga clan needs to contribute. A cold smile crept across his lips. Konoha will never forget your contributions. Then, he simply turned and left. It seems he also needs to win over some clans, otherwise, how will he quell the opposition in the village when he becomes Hokage? Remember how Hirozen was able to seize control of the village so quickly? It was thanks to him, the Dark Ninja. He sighed helplessly, muttering, the next Hokage. It's time to prepare. Hayashi frowned, watching Danzo's departing figure. What is he planning this time? Could it be that he dislikes the Hyuga clan? That shouldn't be the case. You should know that the Hyuga clan has always arranged for its members to join the Konoha Ninja organization, and they have already fulfilled their duty. Why would they suddenly ask the Hyuga clan to add more people? Has anything happened in the clan lately? Hayashi asked, looking at Hisashi beside him. Or has something happened? No. Hisashi thought for a moment, shook his head, and said, the clan still yearns for the headmaster. Sigh. Hayashi sighed, shook his head, and said, these are truly turbulent times. It seems, it's because the Hyuga clan is so powerful. Keep the children in check during this time, and send some more people to the battlefield. Understood, elder brother. Hisashi nodded and said, I'll let the branch family know. Watching his elder brother's departing figure, and the setting sun, he sighed inwardly. The sunset in Konoha is still so beautiful. He then came back to his senses and followed behind Hayashi. Kirigakure. Daimyo. Yagura looked at the letter from the daimyo's residence in the land of water, a complicated expression appearing on his face. He sighed and said helplessly, I knew being the Mizukage wasn't so good. Especially now. They can't even come up with a few $100 million, they're just too poor. The family compensation for those who died in the war hasn't even been paid out yet. And Konoha, they're still pressing them, don't they know Kirigakure has already decided not to pay? Especially after this war. Konoha is lucky to have withstood the Kumagakure invasion, they probably won't have time to bother with Kirigakure after the war ends. But Shizushigakure isn't so easy to renege on. They're currently bored out of their minds, haven't you seen they've even teamed up with the daimyo of the land of water to cause trouble for Kirigakure? They're forcing Kirigakure to pay up quickly. Over 300 billion. Yagura shook his head with a bitter smile, saying, I guess we'd have to empty all the major clans to scrape together the money. But that's impossible, if he dared to make a move, he'd definitely be dead tomorrow. He genuinely wanted Kirigakure to rise again, but the resistance from the major clans was really giving him a headache. Minazuki. Yagura squinted at the 3 words on the letter, muttering, it seems the only option is to make an example of them. And incidentally, to pay off the village's deficit. Guards. Yagura said coldly, an investigation has revealed that the Minazuki clan, dissatisfied with the new Mizukage's appointment, is plotting a rebellion. This grudge, Kirigakure will settle it sooner or later. Chapter 1. Chapter 355 Friendly Visit. In mid-July of Konoha year 43. Kirigakure. The Mizuki clan, the family of the third Mizukage, harbored resentment because a strange young boy had become village chief. They gathered the entire clan to plot a rebellion, but were fortunately discovered in time by the fourth Mizukage. That very night, he swiftly arrested the entire Mizuki clan and killed the most stubborn members, protecting Kirigakure and minimizing the potential damage from the internal strife. The next morning, the fourth Mizukage, dressed formally, appeared on the rooftop, looking down upon the villagers of Kirigakure. He severely criticized the third Mizukage for his irresponsible and inactive work attitude. During his tenure, he had done nothing good for the village, constantly seeking benefits for his own clan, even declaring war and borrowing money without cause, nearly plunging the entire village into despair. Fortunately, he appeared in time, becoming the fourth Mizukage and turning the tide, otherwise, Kirigakure would have been doomed. Therefore, rest assured, under his leadership, Kirigakure will definitely get better and better. Yagura stood on the podium, patting his chest and promising. He then distributed all the money embezzled during the third Mizukage's tenure to the families of those who died in the war, declaring that as the fourth Mizukage, he would never again let the village's heroes bleed and weep like the third. Immediately, thunderous applause erupted. The fourth Mizukage's prestige soared. And the conflicts within the village also escalated. Uzumaki-jun looked at Madara with a headache. Yesterday, he went back to see Mikado and Itachi, only to find Madara there, playing with his grandson, who seemed to be making a decision, his eyes gleaming. Uzumaki-jun was incredibly anxious. Could Madara be planning to pass on his Rinnegan to Itachi before he's finished? Those eyes are a trap. So, he quickly hugged his son and told Mikado that he was going to space tomorrow to install a satellite, and although he didn't know when he'd be back, he would return as soon as possible, and told her not to worry. Madara, upon hearing this news, he indeed became curious, immediately frowning as if deep in thought. Just as Uzumaki-san was glad he had diverted Madara's attention and was happily teasing Itachi, Madara suddenly said he wanted to go too. Uzumaki-san was completely stunned. Madara is already so old, he doesn't have many years left to live, can't he just stay in the land of whirlpools and find a good burial place? He actually wants to go to space? What if something happens? In the end, won't he have to carry the corpse back? But remembering that Madara also knew about the things on the moon, Uzumaki soon decided to take him anyway, otherwise, the old man's constant fuss would be quite a headache. Although Madara is a proud old man, he's no longer the proud old man he used to be. Who can be sure he won't throw a tantrum this time? And, for the sake of his son's life, Uzumaki-jun decided to take Madara out for a stroll to clear his head, and also to tell him, if you really don't want to take your eyes with you from Elysium, then donate them to a research institute for research. But this time going to space, it seems you'll have to personally guide Madara. After all, Madara's age is really not suitable for using ninjutsu. Who knows, he might die if he uses it? It's better to be careful, no matter what. Madara has cultivated many talents for the Land of Whirlpools. As the daimyo of the Land of Whirlpools, he must be given a peaceful old age. Then, after hearing his words, Madara kept a sour face until this morning. Madara, cheer up. Uzumaki-jun smiled at Madara and said, no matter what, today we're going to visit the first family in the ninja world to land on the moon. Although they also share the surname Otsutsuki, but, the people on the moon are all mixed race, which is equivalent to people in the ninja world. Their small step is a giant leap for the ninja world. Uzumaki soon shook his head and sighed. The ninja world will eventually conquer the seas, so, how about a smile? Besides, there are satellites and such, they'll probably need to observe and maintain them then. It's best to leave a good impression. Showing up with a sour face will only get you beaten up. However, HMPH. Madara leaned back in his wheelchair and snorted coldly, closing his eyes and saying nothing, seemingly waiting for Uzumaki soon to carry him up. Sigh. Old people's temperaments are just strange. Uzumaki shook his head helplessly, looking at Chiro beside him, and said, is everything ready? Everything's ready, Chiro nodded, saying, if nothing goes wrong, once the satellite is installed and starts up normally, you'll be able to contact us from up there. Wow, this technology is pretty good. Uzumaki nodded, saying, what about its endurance? Don't worry, it's not using chakra, but the solar energy technology you gave me last time, Chiro said, I believe the endurance will be quite good. They already have nuclear, solar, and hydroelectric energy conversion technologies, so why are they so fixated on using chakra energy? Would changing the energy source meet the Land of Whirlpools needs just as well? Fortunately, the conversion has begun slowly. A hybrid energy source of solar and chakra energy is gradually being used everywhere, and nuclear energy is also under research. It's just the extraction of chakra, obtaining it from the environment is still too difficult. Although they've gained a lot of inspiration from the chakra tree, there are still many difficulties to overcome. Now we can only take it slow. Well, I see. Uzumaki soon patted Kyanlo on the shoulder with satisfaction and said, good job. But, didn't you prepare any local specialties? Why is there only one satellite in front of us? Local specialties? Kyanlo frowned, looking at Uzumaki soon, and said, what are we going to do with those? This. Sigh. Doesn't he know that we're visiting someone's home? Some favors are necessary, otherwise, going empty-handed is really not conducive to friendly conversation between the two sides. Never mind, I'll go to the market to prepare some later. Uzumaki soon sighed and said, you really are a tech geek. He should have made this clear earlier, Kyanlo probably doesn't have time to think about these messy things in the lab. But, what should we bring? Some candy, some drinks, especially the recently developed soda, some honey, dried goods, lots of pickled vegetables and salted fish, and canned food. I guess life in space isn't very good. Relying solely on periodic trips to the Hyuga clan for supplies is barely enough to keep people from starving, let alone expect them to eat well. We should also bring some hoverboards to make their work easier. Of course. Uzumaki-jun narrowed his eyes. It would be even better if we could recruit some Otsutsuki clan members. Therefore, we must let them experience the difference and superiority between the ninja world and the moon. Especially the children. Not coming to the Land of Whirlpools for school can easily lead them to extremes. Chapter 2, that's all. I created a group. 877,019,492, feel free to join if you're interested. But I hope everyone in the group will remain civilized and polite in their conversations. Especially those fans who have been criticizing from Chapter 1 to Chapter 329 and haven't subscribed yet, please be gentle. Chapter 356 Giving Out Candy. Clan Chief. A young man in a white robe with Byakugan eyes rushed in, looking at the white-haired middle-aged man who was resting with his eyes closed. He said, "Clan Chief, something terrible has happened. It's Kido." The middle-aged man opened his eyes, revealing his signature Byakugan, and smiled. "Don't panic, what happened? There's only the Otsutsuki family on the moon, what could possibly happen? They were sent by their ancestors to observe the development of the ninja world on the moon, to see if a peaceful era of mutual understanding had been achieved. The result, the war in the ninja world is still ongoing, with battles erupting every so often. So now, some members of the branch family are becoming restless, wanting to follow their ancestors' orders and destroy the ninja world." Otsutsuki Tsukima sighed, saying helplessly, "Is it the branch family causing trouble again? This is truly a headache." Although the ninja world has indeed never achieved true peace, he still didn't want to destroy everyone in the ninja world, especially given his ancestors' wishes. "No, clan leader." Otsutsuki Kido gasped, It's, what is it?" Fushin frowned, "Don't be nervous, speak slowly. It's the ninja world." Kido took a deep breath to calm himself down. Two people from the ninja world have come up. This. Hearing Kido's words, Fushin was stunned, then said in surprise, "You said people from the ninja world have come to the moon. Come, don't be afraid." Uzumaki-jun looked at the child in front of him and smiled, "We have no ill intentions. We are distant relatives of the Otsutsuki clan, and we won't harm you." He hadn't said anything wrong. They could be said to share the same ancestor, going back 1,000 years. They really were from the same hometown. As he spoke, he took out the snacks he had prepared. "Don't be shy, please don't be shy, these are all gifts I brought for you." What a hassle. These people hadn't seen an ordinary person in ages, and they were used to being given the cold shoulder, plus rolling their own eyes. They looked at everyone with wary expressions. Here, soon grabbed a handful of candy and placed it in the hand of one of the children who had rolled his eyes, giving him a kind smile. "It's very sweet, remember to tear off the wrapper before eating." He decided to start with the children who had rolled their eyes to lower the group's guard. The child took the candy, glanced at the red-haired man in front of him, and then at the beautifully packaged candy. He'd never seen anything like it before. The red-haired man had said it was edible? But, why were the person's eyes and hair different from theirs? His mother had said not to take things from strangers, and this red-haired man must be a stranger. But, sweet? What did that mean? It looked delicious. The child thought for a moment, and just as he was about to put it in his mouth, he remembered what the red-haired man had said, that he had to tear off the wrapper before eating. So he tore it open, looked at the white candy in front of him, and sniffed it. It smelled delicious. This smell seems familiar. Then, he popped it into his mouth. The child immediately squinted his eyes and made a comfortable sound. A moment later, he felt someone nudging him. Startled, he looked at the other child beside him, who was rolling his eyes just like him, and said, "Yo-ren, what's up?" This. Yo-ren held up the candy and said, "Jun-ren. You just ate some, was it good?" "Good." Jun-ren nodded and said, "Good. The taste is like something we've had before, but not quite, it seems even better." He rubbed his head, "I can't remember." "Really?" Yo-ren looked at the few candies in his hand, thought for a moment, and tore one open himself. Looking at the red candy inside, he said, "Huh? Mine is different from Jun-ren's? Let me see." Jun-ren leaned closer, looked, and said, "It really is, the packaging is different too." He sniffed it, "The taste is different too." Looking at the remaining candies in his hand. "Does the different packaging mean the different taste?" He peeled open another one and put it in his mouth. "This one is also delicious." A little while later, looking at the 5 candies already eaten in her hand, and then glancing at the 2 in Yo-ren's hand beside her. "What are you trying to do?" Yo-ren quickly put the candies in his pocket and said warily, "These are mine." "But aren't we good friends?" Jun-ren frowned and said, "I finished mine, you have 2, can you share one with me?" "No, I only ate 3. Yo-ren shook his head, clutching his pocket, and said, "You ate 5, I won't give you any." Seeing Yo-ren's serious expression, Jun-ren hesitated for a moment, then turned to look at the red-haired uncle who was still distributing candies, and ran over. "Come on, don't fight." Uzumaki soon smiled as he saw the children gather around after finishing their candies. "I brought a lot, everyone will get some, and there are other things to eat and drink. Everyone line up, no lines, no candies." "What? Don't you know what a line is? It means come to me one by one. Those who haven't come yet should line up behind the person in front of them. Don't push, don't push. If you push, there won't be any left. Although the snack policy was very successful, there were just too many children. As for Madara, Uzumaki soon glanced at Madara, who was sitting in a wheelchair and looking around aimlessly, and sighed helplessly. It was best not to count on him. Good boy, I have other good food and drinks here. Uzumaki soon pulled out a bag of potato chips and said, here's a reward for him. Immediately, hearing Uzumaki soon's words, the children were about to line up as he requested when. Gakuto, Junto, what are you doing? A stern voice rang out. Wearing a white robe, with his signature Byakugan, he walked over with a frown and an unhappy expression, saying, why are you all gathered here? Uncle Akira, the children quickly spoke up, excitedly saying, there's good food here. Waving the candy in their hands. Good food? Akira frowned, looking at the candy in the children's hands, and paused. There's no such thing on the moon. Then, looking at the red-haired youth and the white-haired old man who appeared before them. From the ninja world? How come there are suddenly ninjas on the moon? And how did they get here? Could it be that the Hyuga clan told them? He immediately shouted sharply, you filthy humans, how did you come from the ninja world? Regardless, they should keep them here for questioning first, and follow the ancestors' decree. Once the ninja world is hopeless, destroy it. Since people from the ninja world have appeared before them, as members of the branch family, they must keep them here. Uzumaki-jun and Madara frowned upon hearing the Byakugan youth's words. How could he speak like that? Especially Madara. He saw his former self in that Byakugan, that arrogant, godlike demeanor, but Madara scanned him with his Sharingan and frowned. Who gave this weakling the courage? A ninja with Jonin-level strength dared to jump in front of him, Madara? He had just been observing the moon, intending to see the Black Zetsu's mother that Uzumaki-jun had mentioned, but he couldn't seem to sense anything inside the moon. Fellow villager, we mean no harm, it's just as Uzumaki-sun was about to say something, he sensed several more figures approaching and sighed helplessly, looks like I'll have to settle this with my fists. Because those figures were coming on strong. Chapter 1. Chapter 357. Read more books. Unsurprisingly, everyone who came was lying down. Uzumaki soon smiled as he watched the Uzumaki clan members writhing in pain on the ground before him. If he had the ability to turn the tables, perhaps he could have exchanged a few blows with them, but as for now, what use are a group of Jonin or elite Jonin? They're not 100,000. Just as he was about to sit down and ask them if they could have a friendly chat. Stop. Suddenly, an anxious voice came from not far away. Uzumaki soon looked at the few more Otsutsuki members who had appeared, then glanced at the ones lying on the ground howling, and immediately understood. It seemed that those on the ground were from the branch family, and those who had come were from the main family. Because, the group that had come now didn't have the arrogant, condescending look they had before. I'm sorry, the leading youth said apologetically, I hope you can spare them. The Otsutsuki clan will definitely give you an explanation. As expected of someone who could reach the moon, especially this red-haired youth before him, he was a strong man. As for the old man in the wheelchair beside him, looking incredibly frail, he was so old he could barely walk, so he was completely ignored. We are the Otsutsuki clan, living on the moon, the young man said with a smile. These eyes, I believe you should be quite familiar with. He secretly glanced at the clan crest on the young man's body, a vortex shape. Where had he seen it before? I know, the Hyuga clan has one too. Not wanting to offend a smiling face, Uzumaki-jun also smiled and said, I am the daimyo of the land of whirlpools, and I have no ill intentions here. Thank you. The young man nodded. He had already used his Byakugan to scan them when they arrived. Although the branch family members were injured, their lives weren't in danger. But, where did they come from? He thought for a moment, and was about to ask when. The main family, they came from the ninja world. Seeing the main family members chatting with the enemy, the branch family member said with exasperation, a defeated ninja world, destined for destruction. Why aren't you killing them? Idiot. The young man cursed inwardly, ignoring the branch family's words, and said with a smile, sorry, they meant no harm. Could they see the immense chakra within this young man? Even if they attacked, they couldn't defeat him. However, Uzumaki-jun and Madara watched with amusement as the branch family's Byakugan still roared. demanding the main family attack. Kid, this is the family you said is similar to me? Madara said disdainfully, HMPH. They. Far from it. When Madara, was misled back then, he never intended to annihilate the entire ninja world. He never expected, this group of arrogant Byakugan clan actually wanted to destroy the ninja world? With this kind of strength? It's laughable. Was this the kind of person Uchiha Madara, was back then? Impossible. Don't underestimate them. Uzumaki-jun said with a smile, they have a secret weapon. How? Madara sneered, his eyes narrowing. A secret weapon? How interesting. I wonder how they compare to that idiot Hashirama? I am Kido Otsutsuki from the main family, Kido said. Gentlemen, our clan head invites you. He sighed inwardly. Had the branch family's dissatisfaction with the ninja world reached this point? What would happen if this continued? Looking at the powerful red-haired youth, he hoped nothing unexpected would happen this time. Please, Uzumaki-jun nodded with a smile, saying, we've come here to pay a visit to the head of the main family. Given the branch family's attitude, Uzumaki-jun really couldn't muster any enthusiasm. If they continued to act so arrogantly, he'd just have them all sealed with sealing jutsu, then send them to the land of whirlpools to starve for a few days, and then do some manual labor, that would probably change their minds. He sighed inwardly. It was still because they'd been out of touch with the people for too long. Therefore, the land of whirlpools must remember to come from the masses, go to the masses, immerse themselves in the masses, understand their basic working methods, and absolutely not be arrogant and condescending, following in their footsteps. As he walked behind Madara, intending to push him to follow. Wait a minute. Madara suddenly spoke, looking at the Otsutsuki branch family member lying on the ground. He pulled a book with a red cover, bearing the 8 large characters Redis guiding ideology, and tossed it to the branch family member lying on the ground, saying indifferently, if you have nothing to do, read more books. These idiots. How could they possibly compare to him, Uchiha Madara? They should read more books first. Then, under Uzumaki-jun's strange gaze. Let's go. He closed his eyes again. Seeing the main family member looking at the book with a puzzled expression, Uzumaki-jun quickly said righteously, that's a book published by the Land of Whirlpools. It's very interesting. You'll understand when you get there. That's right. You'll understand when you go to the Land of Whirlpools. How boring. Kakashi casually wiped his sweat with a towel, looking at the sky and muttering, I wonder how Nahara-rin and the others are doing lately? Since they separated for work last time, he had rarely seen Nahara-rin. After all, she went to work very early in the morning and came back very late at night, so it was difficult to even see her. But although Kakashi was anxious, he wasn't worried, because he heard from the captain that, the girls' work was similar to theirs, just a little simpler. Looking at the captain explaining something to the employees not far away, he sighed helplessly. This captain assigned by the Land of Whirlpools was said to be a rogue ninja from Kirigakure who later defected to the Land of Whirlpools and became a squad leader in the infrastructure team. No wonder Kirigakure had such a great hatred for the Land of Whirlpools back then. But, can the Land of Whirlpools really trust the freedom of rogue ninja from other villages to roam within its borders? Kakashi looked around at the staff, only a small portion were prisoners like himself. There were basically people from all 3 ninja villages, and if you added the rogue ninja captain from Kirigakure, that's 4 villages here. What exactly does the Land of Whirlpools want? Kakashi yawned, swept the ground smooth, and laid down. He'd gotten used to working in the Land of Whirlpools lately, it wasn't difficult. He'd just offer chakra in the morning, rest for a while, and then go to work. Because of his excellent swordsmanship, the wood planing work in the team was his responsibility. Kakashi even felt his swordsmanship had improved considerably. And the Land of Whirlpools didn't make you work yourself to death, there were several breaks at noon to eat and chat. The food seemed no different from that of ordinary employees, but because of their prisoner status, they didn't receive wages. Ordinary people had their wages deducted for mistakes, but they had no wages deducted, only whipping. However, the workload wasn't too heavy, making the missions much easier than their ninja training. Of course, there were rewards for good performance, a braised pork lunch, a good bottle of strong liquor, and some other miscellaneous items. Kakashi truly hadn't expected the Land of Whirlpools treated prisoners so well. It was just that the evening classes were a real headache. This Konoha genius, faced with all that red ideology, peace and democracy, the duties of a ninja, the saying with great power comes great responsibility, etc. He just couldn't understand it. Especially at night, it made him really sleepy, but one week he tried sneaking a nap and hadn't done his homework, resulting in failing the weekend test, being punished with extra copying, and being criticized. He never dared to slack off again. What an incomprehensible country. Kakashi muttered, hands behind his head, eyes closed, basking in the sun. I wonder how Konoha is doing now. If it weren't for the evening classes, it would be pretty good. Chapter 2, that's all. By the way, does anyone want to join the group? 8770 Yao 9492. I forgot there was another question. The answer is the author's name. If you are listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means it was downloaded and re-uploaded without effort. We warmly invite you to visit our channel, Fanfic World. There you will find the original version of this story and many other novels of various genres. We look forward to seeing you dive into a world of incredible novels. Chapter 358 Going Deeper. The Uzumaki Clan, Otsutsuki Tsukima looked at the newcomer, especially his red hair and the signature massive chakra, and exclaimed, truly, heroes emerge from among the young. So young. Then he glanced at the old man beside him, that sinister chakra, and frowned. The Uchiha clan? And, that aura and the chilling chakra, this old man is definitely extraordinary. How did you get to the moon? Strength. Uzumaki-jun said with a smile, as long as you're strong enough, there are many ways to get up. How did they get up? Of course, they used space-time ninjutsu. Haha, Otsutsuki Tsukima paused for a moment, then laughed loudly, that's right, with your strength, you should have many ways to get up. Yet, right. If it were that simple, their ancestors wouldn't have left a secret passage. It seems this kid definitely knows space-time ninjutsu or something similar. But, since they don't want to talk about it, he can't force them. Then, looking at the old Uchiha man beside him, who had been glaring at him ever since they entered. What exactly did they want to do on the moon? Otsutsuki Susuma frowned and asked Uzumaki-jun, what brings you to the moon? He hoped nothing bad would happen. After all, the branch family. Sigh, these are truly turbulent times. Please rest assured, Otsutsuki clan head, Uzumaki-jun said with a smile, we have no ill intentions. We simply came here to release a satellite. A satellite? Otsutsuki Susuma looked at Uzumaki-jun, puzzled. What is a satellite? Is it some kind of new type of weapon? He'd never heard of it before. No. Uzumaki-jun shook his head and said, a satellite is a technological device, mainly composed of. Then, he launched into a long explanation, covering what science is, how it's made, its uses, how to use it, and so on, completely baffling Otsutsuki Susuma. What is this? Therefore, this satellite can achieve harmonious communication between people, Uzumaki-jun said with a solemn expression. It allows ordinary people to participate in current affairs, monitor the entire ninja world, understand the truth of events, express their opinions, deepen their understanding of ninjas, reduce discrimination against ninjas, and bring true peace to the entire ninja world. If everything in the ninja world is geared towards peace, then the resistance will be much smaller, and sometimes, you might even receive help from others. Just look. Even Otsutsuki Susumu was moved. This satellite. Otsutsuki Susumu exclaimed in shock, is it really as you say? If it really is like this, perhaps the branch family can put aside their prejudices. In that case, our main family will definitely protect it with all our might. No, you can't protect it. Uzumaki soon shook his head, saying earnestly, if the branch family really attacks it, can you protect it? When the conflict escalates, it will erupt. Then, Uzumaki soon explained that suppression is not as effective as guidance, and that psychological problems arise from detachment from the masses and idleness leading to idle thoughts, etc. He told the Otsutsuki clan head, your method won't work. Sooner or later, you'll fight the branch family, then the entire clan will be made into Tensigen, and finally, the main family will be destroyed, leaving only one descendant of the branch family. So, I'm saving you. Uzumaki soon felt incredibly noble. Merely asking them to contribute to the land of whirlpools was really too good for them. Sigh. Otsutsuki Susumu sighed helplessly upon hearing this, saying, there's nothing we can do about it. The true meaning left by our ancestors is unclear, and the ninja world has never achieved true peace in all these years. The branch family was merely to elucidate the true meaning of our ancestors. Uzumaki-jun and Madara rolled their eyes simultaneously. elucidating the true meaning meant destroying the entire ninja world? And then, becoming gods and procreating? Therefore, the best course of action now is to change the mindset of your branch family, to make them understand. Uzumaki-jun said righteously, the ninja world can achieve peaceful coexistence. Madara, standing beside him, glanced at Uzumaki-jun with a slightly knowing look, then closed his eyes again. Having spent so many years in the land of whirlpools, he was already familiar with this. If this kid spoke in this tone, he was definitely trying to trick someone. If it were according to his younger self's thoughts, he would have just wiped them out directly. Why go through all this trouble? But now, he's old, too old. It's better not to join the fray. I want to live a few more years and see the changes in the land of whirlpools. Oh? Hearing Uzumaki-jun's words, Otsutsuki Fusuma asked in surprise, what should we do? They're just too detached from the masses, Uzumaki-jun said, narrowing his eyes. Just go live in the ninja world for a while, immerse yourself in the grassroots, and understand the hardships of the people. A few days of manual labor would be enough. Especially this book. Uzumaki-jun pulled a book from his system, read ideology, and handed it to Otsutsuki Fusuma, saying, this is the way I've been thinking about day and night, the way that might lead the ninja world to peace. This book analyzes the contradictions existing in the ninja world layer by layer, from the 3 major policies and 8 points of attention, whether it's class contradictions, social contradictions, or contradictions among the people, etc., and it provides a profound explanation of each aspect, while also proposing relevant solutions. Therefore, only revism can save the ninja world. You must read it. This book. Otsutsuki Susumu took the book, staring incredulously at the crimson cover. Is it really as you say? When you understand it, you'll understand, Uzumaki-jun said earnestly. Every conflict has a solution. It's just a matter of whether you act on it. As for Madara, he looked at Uzumaki-jun speechlessly, rolling his eyes. This book is good, but promoting it throughout the ninja world is no less difficult than a massive purge. I will definitely read it carefully. Otsutsuki Susuma put the book away, then sighed and said, your method may be good, but the branch family won't go to the ninja world as you say. Especially the words of a stranger from the ninja world, they won't listen to them. That's easy to handle. Uzumaki-jun said with a smile, as long as forcibly seal their chakra, then take them away for a few days and they'll get used to it. He pointed to his clan crest. The Uzumaki clan might be passable in other aspects, but their sealing techniques are absolutely top-notch. Hearing Uzumaki-jun's words, Otsutsuki Susuma was stunned for a moment. This was indeed a method, but if everyone wasn't sealed away quickly, the branch family would definitely riot immediately. And as the head of the main family, he really didn't trust an outsider to take the branch family members away. Especially people from the ninja world, who knows whether what they say is true or false? This method is really inappropriate. However, before he could finish speaking, don't refuse yet. Uzumaki soon sighed and said, actually, there's something else I need to tell you. It seems the Otsutsuki clan won't believe him unless he shows some real skill. So, at this moment, he should reveal his true identity. Let them believe he's one of their kind. Chapter 1? Chapter 359 Fellow Villagers. Byakugan. The Otsutsuki clan and Madara were stunned by Uzumaki-jun's suddenly changed eyes, especially Madara. These eyes reminded him of that spring Black Zetsu's stories about the Mangekyo Sharingan and Rinnegan. But, no matter how you look at it, it doesn't seem fake. His own eyes also sensed the chakra fluctuations, which did indeed resemble the flow of the Hyuga clan's Byakugan. No, this isn't just Byakugan. Otsutsuki Fusuma suddenly looked at Uzumaki-jun's eyes with a serious expression and said, this Byakugan is of such high purity, it's the Byakugan of the Hyuga main family. But, how could the Byakugan of the Hyuga main family end up in the Uzumaki clan? If it were merely a case of stealing the Hyuga's Byakugan, someone without Hyuga blood wouldn't have such a pure Byakugan. Moreover, the chakra flow of this person is very natural, it doesn't seem like a transplant at all. However, just as he was about to ask, Uzumaki-jun's eyes changed again, a pair of dazzling, radiant eyes replacing his original pure white Byakugan. The Tensigan. Otsutsuki was truly shocked this time, saying, why are you? Could this person really have the bloodline of the Hyuga clan? And then, have he taken all the Byakugan from the Hyuga clan and synthesized it? But such a high purity Byakugan and Tensigan is simply unbelievable. before Otsutsuki Susumu could even ask. These eyes. Uzumaki-jun looked at Otsutsuki Susumu with a melancholy expression and said, I don't know why they awakened. That day, standing on the moon, gazing blankly at the ninja world, I suddenly felt an intense pain in my eyes, and the power of my eye was constantly increasing. Suddenly, everything went dark. Just when I thought I had gone blind and was about to call a doctor, I suddenly could see again. Through these eyes, I saw another side of the ninja world. I saw smiles, I saw peace, I saw a scene that shocked me. Anyway, these eyes really awakened for no reason. Please believe me. Madara looked at this kid acting again, speechless, rolled his eyes, and finally, closed his eyes and said nothing. It was just too much to bear. I see. Otsutsuki Tsukima sighed upon hearing Uzumaki-jun's words, saying, perhaps it was because our ancestors couldn't bear to see the main family and branch family split apart, and the ninja world destroyed, that they awakened you. Although he secretly thought the kid was lying, the flow of chakra and those natural-looking Tensigen showed no signs of being stolen from others. Besides, family members know their own situation. The requirements for awakening the Tensigen are extremely high. Just having the purest Byakugan is incredibly difficult, plus the purest Otsutsuki bloodline. Without special methods, neither the Otsutsuki nor the Hyuga clans can awaken the Tensigen. Perhaps this red-haired youth also possesses the bloodline of our ancestors? And at a very high concentration. In that case, looking into Uzumaki-jun's eyes, Otsutsuki Tsukima said with emotion, if you can persuade the branch family, I'll agree. But I hope I can go with them too. He wanted to see what the Hyuga clan was really like, or whether the land of whirlpools was truly as he described. An honor for the land of whirlpools. Uzumaki-jun nodded with a smile and said, I believe you'll see that I haven't lied to you. He knew what Otsutsuki Susumu meant. He wanted to show that he would also bring some members of the main clan to inspect the area. And that they wouldn't need to seal their chakra. Anyway, it didn't matter. You see, everything he said earlier, except for a slight exaggeration, was true. Of course, that little story was fake. Uzumaki-jun smiled and said, the ninja world will definitely achieve true peace. Next was convincing the main clan, letting them know he was a good person, and sealing away those extreme branch families. Why did the clan head suddenly call us together? An Otsutsuki clan member frowned and said, could it be related to those two people from the ninja world? Definitely related. Another Otsutsuki clan member glanced at the branch family and said, to be honest, the branch family members are too extreme. All was thinking about destroying the ninja world and becoming the creator god themselves. If that method really worked, our ancestors would have done it long ago. Besides, the ninja world isn't made of clay. You can't just destroy it like that. Stop talking, a companion quickly stopped his friend, saying, the clan head will handle all of this. We just need to listen to him. However, the branch family members still glared at the main family members, especially the branch family head. He frowned, deep in thought, puzzled by the main family head's sudden call for everyone to gather. Looking down at the book he'd received from his clansmen, the book that had been thrown at them from the ninja world, his fists clenched. Is he mocking the Otsutsuki clan for being uneducated? The branch family's actions were all for the sake of achieving peace in the ninja world. According to the ancestral teachings, if the ninja world cannot achieve peace, then destroy it. Therefore, everything they did was correct. As for the main family, they were far too naive. Thousands of years had passed, and the ninja world still hadn't achieved true peace. Why did they believe that peace would surely come in the future? The Otsutsuki clan, as observers of the ninja world, have already given the ninja world many opportunities, but they have never known how to cherish them. Why continue down this path? Destroying it and rebuilding is the most correct and simplest method. Why can't the main clan understand this? Just as the branch clan head was pondering how to implement the ancestors' true intentions, Otsutsuki Susumu appeared with Uzumaki-jun and the others. And Uzumaki-jun, following Otsutsuki Susuma's instructions, didn't immediately reveal the Tensigen, but instead used the Byakugan. The effect was quite impressive. Didn't you see everyone below was stunned? Such a pure Byakugan is quite intimidating. Quiet. Otsutsuki Tsukima shouted. Everyone, please be quiet. Looking at his clansmen below, he sighed. As you all know, over the years, the main family and branch family have had different opinions on how to handle the ninja world. We, the main family, believe the branch family's ideas are too extreme. We believe we should give the ninja world another chance, and we believe peace will eventually come. The branch family, however, thinks our ideas are too naive. Only by destroying and rebuilding can true peace be achieved. In that case, why not listen to the opinions of someone from the ninja world? This is Uzumaki-jun from the Uzumaki Clan. In a sense, he is indeed a distant relative of our Otsutsuki clan. Perhaps. Otsutsuki Tsukima said with a serious expression, "Now everyone, please be quiet and listen to his opinion." Then, Uzumaki-jun, sporting a pair of Byakugan, walked out with a smile. Sure enough, those Byakugan instantly bridged the tense relationship with the Otsutsuki clan. "Fellow villagers, please calm down." Uzumaki-jun coughed twice, speaking with righteous indignation. "Please don't get agitated, and don't get angry. I've come here to resolve the conflict between the ninja world and the Otsutsuki clan. Perhaps you feel angry about the ninja world's lack of true peace for so many years, but believe me." Uzumaki-jun spoke while observing the Otsutsuki clan's expressions. Sure enough, while many branch family members listened, some looked at him with disdain. "Your nonsense won't solve anything. The people of the ninja world don't want to be embroiled in war either. For thousands of years, countless heroes have fought for peace. For example, perhaps some of their methods were wrong, but believe me, the ninja world will eventually achieve true peace. With the joint efforts of the ninja world and the Otsutsuki clan." Uzumaki-jun delivered his speech with great enthusiasm. Towards true communism, towards freedom, towards equality, towards democracy, towards prosperity and flourishing. Therefore, I hope you will join me in building a bright future for the ninja world. Chapter 2, that's it, 8770 9492, the answer is the author's name. Chapter 360 The Seal. "Fellow villagers, please believe me," Uzumaki-sun said, pointing to his Byakugan. "We are all fellow villagers, and we would never deceive you. So, go to the ninja world, go see for yourself, and you'll know. Everything I've said is true." Uzumaki-sun exclaimed emotionally. "Please, fellow villagers, believe me, believe in the land of whirlpools. The land of whirlpools has the ability and the obligation to achieve peace in the ninja world. The ninja world has never given up on finding a path to peace in this chaotic world." He glanced at the Otsutsuki clan members below, deep in thought. Under his eloquent speech, most people fell into contemplation, including some members of the branch family. Of course, some branch family members still looked at him with suspicion. It seems that these twisted people, no matter how much I profess my love for peace, their minds aren't so easily changed. Uzumaki-sun sighed inwardly. He'd better prepare his sealing jutsu. As expected. "No, we've already given the ninja world far too much time." The branch clan had pondered for a moment, then stepped forward and said, "Thousands of years have passed, and the ninja world still hasn't achieved peace. Strife and war continue. Therefore, we must follow the true will of our ancestors, rebuild the ninja world, and achieve true peace. Otherwise, should we give the ninja world another 1,000 years?" Hearing the branch clan head step forward, the scene fell silent again. Then, that's right. A group of branch clan members exchanged glances and shouted, "We should follow the true will of our ancestors, destroy the current corrupt ninja world, and rebuild it anew." Exactly, the ninja world is already corrupt, true peace is impossible. Starting anew is the only way. Instantly, all the branch clan members started to clamor. Even those who had been pondering began to jeering after hearing the clan head's words. Seeing this scene, Uzumaki-sun shook his head helplessly. This branch clan head is simply a troublemaker. Can't we just coexist peacefully? Even Madara frowned in displeasure. "Fellow villagers, please don't get agitated." Uzumaki-sun quickly shouted, "Agitation won't solve anything. I'm here to solve this problem. Please believe me, folks. If you don't believe me, damn it. Still arguing. Multiple shadow clone technique. Bang. Bang bang." While they were still stunned, he decided to seal them all quickly. Anyway, the head of the main family would help him, and he could just stuff them into the land of whirlpools later. The land of whirlpools already had so many prisoners, it wouldn't be a problem to stuff in some more Otsutsuki clan members. So, sealing technique. Instantly. Just as the Otsutsuki branch family members were staring in shock at the shadow clones of the red-haired boy that suddenly appeared beside them. Bang bang. In less than a few minutes, they were all sealed. "What's going on?" The Otsutsuki branch family members all felt something was wrong with their bodies and exclaimed, "My chakra!" They couldn't mobilize it. Everyone looked up, staring in shock at the main clan head and the red-haired youth beside him. Clan head Fushin. The branch clan head glared angrily at the main clan head, roaring, "What exactly do you want to do?" Could it be that the main clan, due to ideological differences, had finally joined forces with outsiders to attack the branch clan? Don't be nervous. Clan head Changyu. Otsutsuki Fushin sighed inwardly, glancing at Uzumaki-sun, who was whistling at the air. This bastard, couldn't he have tried to persuade him a little longer? Seeing everyone staring at him, Otsutsuki Fushin had no choice but to step forward. Did they see that even members of the main clan suspected him of colluding with outsiders to take advantage of the situation and destroy the branch clan? If he didn't explain, he would be finished as the head of the main clan. After all, no matter how much internal strife the Otsutsuki clan was involved, it was still the Otsutsuki clan's business. Colluding with outsiders without reason, that was a grave taboo. Your thinking is far too extreme. Otsutsuki Tsukima shook his head and said, "I hesitated for a long time before making this decision, but this is the only way we have left. Otherwise, the conflict will only escalate. But please rest assured." Scanning everyone present. "Our main family will also go with some of the clan members. If the daimyo of Uzushiagakure is truly deceiving me, the Otsutsuki clan will absolutely not let this go." Otsutsuki Tsukima said righteously, "As the clan head, no matter what danger we encounter, I will bring you all back safely. The branch family and the main family are all members of the Otsutsuki clan. We're all one family." So, Otsutsuki Tsukima seemed relieved to have spoken his mind, and said, "Let's go to the ninja world together and see if we should follow the true will of our ancestors, or give the ninja world another chance." Truly worthy of being a clan head. Uzumaki-jun watched this scene with a sigh. He figured that even if he had truly deceived the branch family, the land of whirlpools would still have to take the blame. Meanwhile, Otsutsuki Susumu's words had eased the tension between the main and branch families. After all, any fault lay with the land of whirlpools, and he, as the clan head, had already fulfilled his duty. "You're too naive, clan head Susumu." Otsutsuki Chengyu, after hearing Susumu's words, paused for a moment, then sighed, "The ninja world is beyond saving. There's no other way but to fulfill the ancestors' true will. You'll ultimately harm the Otsutsuki clan." He had also realized, this red-haired youth from the ninja world was definitely not simple. He had sealed away the branch family members so easily. Otsutsuki Fusuma paused, sighed, and looked at Otsutsuki Chengayao, saying, "Perhaps you're right. But I don't believe that destroying the ninja world will achieve true peace. The ancestors' true intentions might not be what you understand. As long as everyone can understand and communicate with each other, the ninja world." A determined look appeared in Otsutsuki Fusuma's eyes. "Will definitely achieve peace. Just like the branch family and main family now. Lack of communication leads to conflict. As long as everyone communicates calmly, the problem can definitely be solved." HMPH. Otsutsuki Chengayao snorted coldly, saying indifferently, "I hope what you think is true. Now, the situation is already set. Whether it's the Otsutsuki branch family or the main family, they all just want to achieve true peace. Since that's the case, let's take this opportunity to make the main family realize reality. Only the ancestors' true intentions are the only way to achieve peace in the ninja world. Besides, we can't win. That youth from the land of whirlpools is definitely not simple." With anger in his eyes, he gave the main family patriarch a deep look, his right hand gripping the crimson-covered book tightly, and turned to leave with the branch family members. As for the main family members, although they couldn't bear the treatment of the branch family members, since the patriarch had made his decision, they had no other choice. They looked up at the red-haired youth. This current situation was all caused by this red-haired youth. So, what would he do next? However, Uzumaki-sun was now looking at Madara with a strange expression. What was he even here for? This matter was almost over, yet he remained silent with his eyes closed the entire time. Did Madara have nothing to say? After all, he had once dreamed of becoming a god. Chapter 1. Chapter 361 Naruto. Clan head, are we just supposed to do nothing and let this happen? A branch family member tried to channel his chakra again, but to no avail. He said angrily, "If it turns out this is all just a trap set by the main family in collusion with outsiders, The branch family is finished. Sigh. Otsutsuki Chengyu sighed and said, we have no other choice now. He had also tried to channel his chakra, but to no avail. We've fallen into the main family's trap. Looking at all the branch family members around him, he sighed helplessly. All the clansmen who had gone to the scene had been sealed with sealing techniques. What can we do now without chakra? Especially that red-haired youth from the ninja world. His strength is definitely extraordinary. He was able to seal all the branch family ninjas in an instant. The branch family simply cannot contend with him now, unless the Tensigan mentioned in ancient texts. Perhaps only that can defeat that youth. Chengyu's gaze shifted between light and shadow, finally settling into a melancholy sigh. Everyone, prepare yourselves. Hopefully, this time we can make the main clan understand. The ninja world is beyond saving. What's the use of thinking about this now? Their chakra is sealed. Even if they wanted to fight, they couldn't defeat the main clan, let alone that red-haired youth. It's better to take this opportunity to make the main clan understand that their branch family's intentions are correct, and then, they can join forces to carry out the ancestors' true will. And, hearing the clan head's words, the branch family members also sighed. The tide has turned. They could only obey the clan head's orders and go to prepare. Otherwise, even if they wanted to continue resisting, they wouldn't be able to. Otsutsuki Chengyu looked at the departing clan head, shook his head helplessly, then looked down at the book he had crumpled and carelessly tossed on the table. He sighed, picked it up, and looked at the title on the cover. The guiding ideology of Redesign is, can it really achieve peace? After thinking for a moment, Otsutsuki Chengyu decided it wouldn't hurt to take a look. Since the outcome was already predetermined, and the branch family's chakra had been sealed, rendering them unable to resist, then, he wanted to see what gave that red-haired youth the confidence to bring peace to the ninja world. Just this ideology? A hint of disdain appeared on Otsutsuki Chengyu's lips as he muttered, how laughable. Then, he stretched out his right hand and slowly turned to the first page. Konoha. You're back? Sarutobi Hiruzen looked at the travel-worn Jiraiya before him and said with relief, I didn't expect you to be the one to return in the end. Truly the inheritor of the will of fire. Sigh. Jiraiya sighed, helplessly saying, old man, what exactly are you trying to do? How did things get to this point? Konoha, which was once thriving, is now. When he entered the village, he only saw deathly stillness. All the villagers lived their lives with dim expressions, the harmony, smiles, and peace of the past were nowhere to be seen. Why did you invade the land of whirlpools? If it weren't for the invasion of the land of whirlpools, perhaps the situation wouldn't be so bad. Especially since Minato had learned space-time ninjutsu. As long as he wasn't facing that overpowered daimyo of the land of whirlpools, Minato could hold his own against anyone, even a cage. Why did things have to come to this? You. Hiruzen Sarutobi, hearing Jiraiya's words, stood up dejectedly, walked to the window, looked out, took a drag of his pipe, and said helplessly, this is all for Konoha. For the peace of the ninja world. He sighed, his eyes filled with sorrow. The daimyo of the land of whirlpools is just too strong. I never imagined that in such a short time he would already possess the strength of the first Hokage, and he turned back to look at Jiraiya. He is far too young. If he wants to dominate the ninja world, then who can stop him? Hiruzen Sarutobi put his right hand, holding the pipe, behind his back, shook his head, and said worriedly, the entire ninja world will surely be plunged into chaos again. But he gave a bitter smile. I never thought I would still be wrong about his true strength, and the power of the land of whirlpools. He truly never expected the land of whirlpools to become so strong. He had originally thought that the land of whirlpools, without any ninja villages, would slowly decline like the states during the Warring States period. In the end, he truly never expected this. He actually grew to this level. Hearing the old man's words, Jiraiya fell silent. Finally, he sighed and said, what about those ninjas captured by the land of whirlpools? What do you plan to do? This. Hiruzen Sarutobi frowned and said, the village is really broke right now. Hundreds of billions. Only the land of fire's treasury can probably afford that. But don't worry. A determined look appeared in his eyes. I will absolutely not let the ninjas of Konoha suffer. Hiruzen Sarutobi took a drag of his cigarette, looking at Jiraiya with a melancholy expression. Konoha. Sooner or later, it will be handed over to you younger generation. A hopeful look appeared in his eyes. Come back and be Hokage. Jiraiya. However, I'm sorry. Jiraiya shook his head and said, I will not stay in the village. I will leave after the war ends. He turned around and walked to the door. So, as for Hokage, you should choose someone else. I will rush to the battlefield to help tomorrow. He walked directly out of the office and closed the door behind him. Looking at the closed door, Hiruzen Sarutobi rested his chin on his hands, frowned, pondered for a moment, and finally sighed, muttering, Konoha. Who should he hand it over to? Jiraiya and Tsunade are the best candidates now. After all, Orochimaru has been captured, which is a stain on his reputation. Without special circumstances, Orochimaru will never gain the approval of the other villagers. But Tsunade? Where is she now? Why hasn't she returned? If she wants to gain the approval of others and become Hokage, the current war is the perfect opportunity. Achoo, achoo. Tsunade rubbed her nose, frowned, and muttered, Who's thinking about me? She thought for a moment. It must be that bastard Jiraiya, cursing me. She clenched her fists angrily. HMPH, next time I see him, I'll definitely punch him a few times, otherwise, I'll have a grudge. After cursing Jiraiya a few times in her mind, Tsunade looked towards Konoha with a melancholy expression, muttering, I hope nothing bad happens. No matter what, Konoha was the village her great-grandfather founded, and she was still a little worried. But seeing that the Konoha prisoners hadn't been mistreated or killed in the land of whirlpools, she felt a sense of relief. At least, everyone was alright. She took a swig of her ice-cold beer. I wonder where that daimyo of the land of whirlpools has gone. Tsunade shook her head helplessly and said, I was planning to go find him to see if he could let Shizune and Nahara go. But she couldn't find him in the office. For a daimyo to be running around like that is really incompetent. She sighed inwardly. Oh well, she'll wait until next time. Anyway, she checked on those two girls a few days ago, and they weren't harmed. It's just working overtime without pay. That's infuriating. Chapter 2, that's all. There's a group, feel free to join if you're interested. Chapter 362 Family. The Land of Whirlpools. Clan Chief, a red-haired ninja respectfully addressed the Uzumaki Clan Chief, the ships from the Land of Water have all arrived. The clan chief nodded expressionlessly, saying indifferently, nothing went wrong, right? He'd heard that Uzumaki-jun had been on the moon these past few days, making it impossible to see anyone, so he, as the clan chief, was temporarily handling these matters. No, the Land of Water sent everything. The Uzumaki ninja shook his head, saying, I just went aboard and took a look. It was truly, he sighed, dirty and chaotic. A bunch of people crammed into that old-fashioned transport ship, they'd get sick. Hearing the ninja's words, the clan chief frowned immediately and went forward. Sir. A transport ship manager, a water country official, said respectfully, my promise to the Land of Whirlpools has been fulfilled. The clan chief nodded, following the manager inside, and looking at the scene before him. He immediately frowned. Because ninjas are just too difficult to manage, the fourth Mizukage killed them on the spot. The official glanced cautiously at the Uzumaki clan chief, chuckled, and said, the rest are just ordinary people from the Mizuki clan. As for being too difficult to manage, Kirigakure probably didn't want the Mizuki ninjas to fall into the hands of Uzuki country, or perhaps they were afraid Uzuki country would find something out about the ninjas, so they killed them. But none of this mattered to their Land of Water. As long as they had all the people, and this transport ship, it was going to sail back home soon. Uzuki country can rest assured, they definitely won't resist now. He wore a cheerful expression, as if we knew nothing. HMPH. The clan chief gave him a deep look, snorted coldly, and looked at the group of civilians in front of him. Confusion, helplessness, fear, filled their eyes. Perhaps after seeing their clan ninjas dead, they thought that Kirigakure wouldn't be able to survive even if they were captured. Especially since there were quite a few children here. Although they were also afraid, they didn't have the despair of adults, they were just listless because they hadn't eaten for days. Someone come here, the clan chief shouted. Clan chief. The Uzumaki ninja stepped forward. Arrange for them to bathe, assign them rooms, and... The clan chief glanced at the Mizuki clan members before him, then turned back and said, get them some food. The rest is up to Hibiki to arrange. The rest. When Uzumaki-jun came back, a meeting had already been held, it was just a matter of handing it over to the person in charge. Understood. The Uzumaki ninja nodded and said, I guarantee the mission will be completed. Hearing this, the clan chief left with his hands behind his back. This place was so dirty and damp. Looking at the bustling construction of the land of whirlpools outside, the clan leader's eyes showed a hint of confusion. Perhaps if the land of whirlpools had been defeated back then, it would have looked like this too. Captain Hideaki, we've changed locations today. Atsushi noticed that the direction the captain was leading them in was different from yesterday, so he walked over and asked cheerfully, what's our work today? Didn't you hear me yesterday? Hideaki frowned, looking at Atsushi as if he hadn't heard, and said, you didn't sneak off, did you? You know that'll get your pay docked and you'll be disciplined. No, absolutely not. Tsuchigumo Atsushi quickly shook his head and said seriously, yesterday I left right after get off work. Then, he scratched the back of his head and smiled sheepishly, I probably ran off quickly and didn't know there was a meeting. So, please don't dock my pay. You. Zilazan shook her head helplessly and said, we need to go to the immigration checkpoint today, the dock there needs to be rebuilt. It might be a bit busy, but the pay will be relatively higher. Oh? Atsushi's eyes lit up when he heard the pay would be higher, and he said, I'll definitely work hard. Alright. Zilazan rolled her eyes and said, remember to check if there are any meetings before you leave next time. This old fox. He's so slippery. Luckily, he's hardworking and didn't cut corners. Looking at Atsushi, who had returned to his team, Zilazan shook her head helplessly. Smack. Atsushi slapped Zeta hard on the forehead and said, why didn't you remind me last night? If it weren't for you, how could I have run so fast? You said you wanted to leave work early to have a drink. Zeta said, rubbing his forehead, and by the time I got the news, you were gone. How could he be blamed? Who told you to leave my things to clean up and then just run off like that? Still talking back? Atsushi slapped Zeta again and said, then won't you tell me tonight? Zeta helplessly covered his forehead and went to the back of the line. This Uncle Atsushi was really unreasonable. Why didn't Captain Shujin deduct his salary? He was drunk every night, how could he talk to him? He slept like a log. And then, what's going on? Shujin looked at the immigration gate, frowned, and said, someone's causing trouble again? Why were so many people gathered at the immigration gate, and making such a racket? Probably some ninja refused to seal their chakra. Atsushi stroked his chin and said gloatingly, looks like they were going to get fined again? I just wonder if they've actually fought back. If they have, it'll be even more serious. Shujin rolled his eyes when he heard Atsushi's words and said, let's go take a look, otherwise we won't be able to work today. He was actually gloating? Did he cause trouble when he came to the land of whirlpools? Understood. Atsushi nodded quickly and said earnestly, if necessary, we will definitely assist you wholeheartedly. No work? No work? No wine to drink today? So, we will absolutely not allow any troublemakers to disrupt the order of the land of whirlpools. But, is there a reward for acts of bravery? I heard there are rewards for helpful citizens, I wonder how much? Atsushi squinted at the immigration gate, picked up his shovel, and walked towards it, shouting, make way, make way. After squeezing through, he raised his shovel, his face showing a fierce expression, about to say something when, his expression froze. Second Elder. On the moon. Finally adjusted. Uzumaki soon looked at the activated satellite, sighed, and said, I must have Chiro improve it properly when we get back, this frequency is too difficult to adjust. Without optimization, will we have to go to the moon every time we launch a satellite? It's too troublesome. Uzumaki soon stroked his chin, turned his head, and squinted at Otsutsuki Fusuma beside him. Perhaps the Otsutsuki clan. Alright, let's go down. Is that all? Otsutsuki Fusuma looked at the metal device in front of him, spread his wings, and rotated with a ninja world, asking doubtfully, is it that simple? Not simple. Uzumaki soon said irritably, didn't you see how long I've been working on this? If you hadn't wanted to come along, I wouldn't have brought an old man like you. Now we just need to go back and test one thing. If it doesn't work, we'll have to retrieve it and modify it. Looking at the moon not far away, he wondered how Madara was doing. Because Madara wasn't interested in these things and hadn't come along, Uzumaki soon handed over all the gifts he had on him. It's been so long, we should have given them all out by now. Uzumaki soon squinted, stroked his chin, and a slight smile appeared on his lips. Those brats. He hoped Madara wouldn't get angry. Then, turning to look at Otsutsuki Susumu. Let's go to Chapter 1. Chapter 363 seems a bit. Looking at the stubborn old man standing in front of him. Sorry. Atsushi quickly put down the shovel, gave the police officer a sheepish smile, and walked over, saying, "Excuse me, what happened? Who are you?" The police officer in charge of the immigration checkpoint frowned as he looked at the middle-aged man who had suddenly approached, and said, "Please show me your valid identification." Here. Atsushi quickly pulled out his entry certificate, work certificate, and a letter, a chakra release request. "Because of the guarantee from my employer, my chakra has been temporarily released. Why are the second elder and the others here? Did they receive the letter he sent? That's not right. If they didn't send it, why didn't the Whirlpool Country Post Office inform him?" The identification is correct. The Vortex police officer handed the identification back, nodded, and said, "Is this your elder?" "Yes." Tsuchigumo Atsushi quickly replied after taking back the identification, "This is my clan's second elder." "What happened?" "According to regulations, any foreign ninja must seal their chakra without permission." The Vortex police officer said expressionlessly and seriously, "This old man is not only uncooperative with the management of the land of whirlpools, but he's also causing trouble here." "Who's causing trouble?" Hearing the Vortex police officer's words, the second elder immediately glared and said, "What country needs this? Your land of whirlpools is the one acting recklessly. This is the land of whirlpools. I don't care about other places, but this is how it's arranged here." The Vortex police officer said sternly, "We hope you cooperate. If you don't cooperate, you're deliberately disrupting the order of the land of whirlpools. The land of whirlpools has the right." Sorry. Atsushi quickly said upon hearing the police officer's words, "We are law-abiding citizens. My elder is a bit old and confused. I'll try to persuade him. Please wait a moment." Then, he quickly winked at Zeta, who was snickering beside him, and pulled a clansman led by the second elder to the side. "Second elder, what brings you here?" Atsushi looked at the stubborn second elder and said helplessly, "Didn't you see the letter I sent back?" "I saw it." The second elder nodded and said angrily, "I just thought that the three of you had been taken hostage by the land of whirlpools, so the clan leader sent me to bring some people to investigate." This brat actually said he was confused. "You're the confused one." "Oh, I see." Atsushi and Zeta exchanged a glance, quickly chuckling and saying, "A bit busy, really busy lately. We were planning to go back at the end of the month. However, HMPH. The second elder snorted coldly, saying, "Looks like you're doing pretty well." Atsushi, the Tsuchigumo, looked away at his clansmen, who were all staring at him with dangerous intent. "No, absolutely not," he quickly said, "just trying to make ends meet." "All right." The second elder snorted impatiently, "Now you can tell me about the situation in the land of whirlpools. Why is it necessary to seal chakra?" He glanced at Zeta and Atsushi. "But you don't need to. We originally sealed it too." Seeing that the second elder wasn't angry, Atsushi breathed a sigh of relief, saying, "Later, because we didn't have enough money, we found a job, and with the employer's guarantee, we were able to unseal it. To maintain stability in the country, foreign ninjas need to seal their chakra. After all, the outside world is still chaotic, and who can be sure that spies won't sneak in? As long as you abide by the laws of the land of whirlpools here, you'll basically be fine. Even if you're bullied, you'll receive protection from the land of whirlpools." "I see." The second elder nodded in understanding upon hearing Atsushi's words, saying, "It's not unacceptable, but can't the seal be lifted without a guarantee? In that case, wouldn't the Tsuchigumo clan all become ordinary people? Would the entire clan have to find work then?" "No, that's not it." Atsushi shook his head, saying, "Legal citizens of the land of whirlpools don't need to seal their chakra." "Legal citizen?" The second elder frowned, asking, "What is a legal citizen?" "A citizen who abides by the law and possesses the citizenship of the land of whirlpools." Atsushi thought for a moment, saying, "I haven't explained it very clearly either. Perhaps the clan leader can ask Prince soon and he'll understand. He hasn't even applied for citizenship of the land of whirlpools yet, and isn't included in the point system, so how could he know these things?" "So?" The second elder sighed, shook his head, and looked at Atsushi and Zeta, saying, "What happened to you two? Is the cost of living in the land of whirlpools that high? How did you run out of money so quickly?" Atsushi's eyes darted around when he heard the clan leader's words, and he said awkwardly, "Not really. As long as we work honestly, we can still live quite well. It's just that we were scammed out of our money when we came here. However, the mission funds are all with Uncle Atsushi." Zeta rolled his eyes and said irritably, "And Uncle Atsushi got scammed, which means Rulin and I have to come out and work to support our family. These adults are all so troublesome." Second elder. Then, looking excitedly at the clansman who had come with the second elder, he said, "The land of whirlpools is really great, you'll know once you stay here for a few days. It's just that we need to prepare more silver in the early stages, otherwise we might have to take out a loan. But I've heard that taking out a loan in the land of whirlpool seems a bit dangerous. It seems that if you don't repay on time, a strange pair of eyes will be lurking in the shadows, watching you and making you tremble with fear, afraid to spend a single penny recklessly." This. The second elder exchanged glances with his clansman, nodded, and said, "In that case, let's see if the land of whirlpools is really as good as you say. Let's go, seal the chakra. I hope you won't deceive this old man." He still trusted Atsushi and the others quite a bit. After all, if he didn't trust them, why would he send them to the land of whirlpools to collect data? Besides, Atsushi and the others didn't seem to be being bullied or anything. Since that's the case, why not see for ourselves? Later, you two will accompany us for a stroll around the land of whirlpools. Uzumaki-jun returned to the moon with Otsutsuki Fusuma, looking at Madara, who was surrounded by a large group of children. "Still not finished? Grandpa, could you give me 2 more white candies?" A child with a disdainful look walked over, looking at the perpetually expressionless Madara, and cautiously asked, I'll trade you red candies. HMPH. Madara glanced at the little brat from the Uzumaki clan, snorted coldly, and instead of taking the red candies, pulled out 2 white milk candies and handed them over, saying indifferently, "Here, don't eat too many, they'll give you cavities." "Thank you, Grandpa." The child happily took the candies, unwrapped one, and put it in his mouth, saying, "Grandpa is so kind. He didn't even have to trade. This grandpa may have a sour face, but he's a good person." He turned and ran away. Then, "Grandpa." A shy little girl with rolled eyes walked over, clutching her clothes, and said in an embarrassed tone, "Grandpa, is there any more pudding? Can I have another one? One is enough, I want to take it to my mom to try." Seemingly because her request was a bit greedy, the little girl's face immediately turned red. Seeing that it was a girl, Mr. Band's expression seemed to soften a little, and he nodded, saying, "There are 2 more here, take them." "Thank you, Grandpa." The little girl looked at the pudding that Mr. Band handed her, took one, and said happily, "One is enough, I've already eaten. However, take it." Mr. Band saw that the girl only took one, and his face immediately hardened. He said, "Take both." This. The little girl saw Mr. Band's expression, hesitated for a moment, then took the other one, and then kissed Mr. Band, saying, "Grandpa is such a good person." She happily skipped away. Watching this scene, soon Uzumaki didn't know whether he should go up. Mr. Band seemed to be very happy. Especially that slight upturn of the corners of his mouth. Though it flashed by, his all-seeing eyes had already caught it. But Boss Band seems to favor women over men a bit. Chapter 2. Chapter 364, The Age of Communication. However, in the end, Madara still managed to spot him returning. Uzumaki soon, with a cheerful smile, pretended not to have seen anything, walked over, and said, "Madara, is everything resolved?" Madara glanced at Uzumaki soon expressionlessly, nodded, and said indifferently, "Anything else?" "No." Uzumaki soon shook his head and said, "We just need to test if the connection can be established successfully. If it doesn't work, he'll have to make another trip." HMPH, I didn't ask you that. Madara snorted coldly and said indifferently, "Any snacks left?" "You've changed. Madara, you were never like this before." Uzumaki soon sighed inwardly, saying with a helpless tone, "I have some left, just for myself." As soon as he finished speaking, seeing Madara's expression, he understood. He quickly took out all the snacks he had. Then, under Madara's sour face, he left with Otsutsuki Susumu, preparing to test the satellite. "This old man really doesn't seem like a member of the Uchiha clan," Otsutsuki Fusuma said, looking at Madara with a smile. Although he possesses an extremely powerful and evil chakra, he doesn't seem like a bad person. Power itself isn't good or bad, Uzumaki-jun said meaningfully, looking at Otsutsuki Fusuma. But people are. Madara is like a member of your branch family back then, capable of anything for peace. When a bad person uses power for evil, then that power is bad. This, Otsutsuki Fusuma pondered Uzumaki-jun's words for a moment, then sighed, truly worthy of being the daimyo of the land of whirlpools. What you say makes sense. Uzumaki-jun chuckled, shook his head, and said nothing. He walked to a spacious area and brought out the pre-prepared base station as a transmitting and receiving device. Foolproof operation. This was modified from the third Hokage's telescope technique, so. Chakra. This device requires a huge amount of chakra to operate. Uzumaki soon pointed to the base station in front of him and smiled at Otsutsuki Fusuma. There's a storage mechanism here. If you have time, you can arrange for your clansmen to come and recharge their chakra. In such a desolate place, if they have nothing to do, they'll definitely start having all sorts of wild thoughts. He didn't want to have to seal up and pack up the main clan members and send them away for labor reform next time he came. It's fully charged now, you can use it directly. As he spoke, he took out his custom-made deluxe edition mobile phone. Titanium alloy body, wrapped in calfskin obtained from strong black bulls in the land of whirlpools that have been fed life-giving drugs from birth to adulthood, retina high-definition screen, smooth body, alarm when separated from the person within 1 meter, and explode if lost. Uzumaki soon sighed and muttered, when will this brick-like phone be able to connect to the internet? Then, he dialed Chiro's number. It was answered immediately. It seems Chiro has been waiting for his message all along. Hello, hello? Kaianluo's voice came through the phone. Can you hear me? Yes, I can hear you, said Uzumaki soon. How about you? I can hear you too, Kaianluo replied. The sound is smooth and clear, without any lag. It seems our experiment was a success. What about image transmission? Uzumaki soon nodded knowingly and asked, is it possible? Trying it out, Kaianluo said. Try turning on the receiver. Hearing Kaianluo's words, Uzumaki soon remembered the huge square crystal he had been given when he arrived. Bang! He pulled it out of the system. Looking at the crystal in front of him, which resembled a large, brick-shaped TV from the 1980s, he asked, what should I do next? I'll tell you the frequency, you adjust it. Kaianluo said. There are a few buttons made of sand gold underneath. Connect the antenna first, and then, manual explanation, online one-on-one tutorial, done. Uzumaki soon nodded in satisfaction and said, simple and clear, but it's a bit too big. Then, turn on the switch. Buzz! A familiar static-filled screen flashed by. Can you see it? Chiro and Haruko's images appeared on the screen, along with their voices. Yes, I can see it, Uzumaki soon said to the giant television. The picture is quite clear. However, after a while, we can't see it from here, it only transmits the image one way, Chiro said helplessly. The sound doesn't come through either. The only way to communicate with us is through mobile phones. Ah, I see. It's been so many years since we've had a television, we'd almost forgotten. Uzumaki-jun held up his phone and said, I can see and hear. Then, looks like it's a success. On the screen, Chiro said to Haruko, in that case, this test is over. Let's move on to the next item. Beep beep. The phone was hung up immediately. He's getting more and more rude. Uzumaki-jun sighed as he looked at the screen returning to darkness, saying, no matter what, I am the daimyo of the land of whirlpools. He turned to look at Otsutsuki Fusuma, who was staring wide-eyed beside him. This is the ninja tool I was talking about that will allow everyone in the ninja world to communicate with each other. Under the Red Doctrine, everyone will be watching dramas together, where will there be time for idle thoughts? That phone. Otsutsuki Fusuma looked at Uzumaki-jun's high-end phone and said, can I use it too? He didn't expect the ninja world to develop so quickly, something like this has already appeared. Okay. Uzumaki soon nodded and said, when you go to the land of whirlpools, you can register with your real name to complete the process. Just remember to top up your phone credit promptly if you run out each month, otherwise you won't be able to use it. He also planned to establish a television station and set up a channel for the land of whirlpools after he went down there. I see. Otsutsuki Fusuma nodded knowingly and laughed heartily. I'm becoming more and more interested in the life you're talking about. Perhaps it really is as the daimyo of the land of whirlpools describe? The ninja world. Peace. And the true meaning of our ancestors. How wonderful that would be. Then everything is settled. Uzumaki soon stretched and said, gather everyone who needs to come along. We'll head back to the land of whirlpools later. He should go see if Madara had finished his work yet. It's been several days since he'd been home, and he really missed Itachi and Mikado. This is tofu pudding, double skin milk pudding, and fruit pudding, Zeta said, pointing to the items the waiter handed over. It's quite suitable for an elder like you, second elder. The second elder and the newly arrived Tsuchigumo ninja looked at the food with curiosity, saying, these are really strange foods. Then, taking their own portions and scooping a spoonful. Not bad, not bad. The second elder nodded in satisfaction after putting the tofu pudding in his mouth, remarking, the flavor is rich and fragrant, melting in your mouth, but it's too sweet. Second elder, don't you like sweet things? Zeta picked up the double skin milk pudding, took a bite, and said, there are also spicy and salty ones there, would you like to change it? No, no. The second elder shook his head, smiling, and said, we didn't come here to eat. After we finish, show us around. The clan is still waiting for their news. Then, staring at Atsushi. You brat, you're already so old, and you're still not as sensible as Zete. Why are you making that long face? Don't you want to keep this old man company? No, no. Atsushi quickly said when he saw the second elder was angry, I just didn't get enough sleep this morning. Looks like I'm not getting my bonus this month. And I won't have a chance to go drinking tonight either. Zete can do it alone, why did he have to come along? How boring. Then, took a big bite of tofu pudding. There was a bit too much sugar in the tofu pudding today. Chapter 3. That's all, group. 8770 9492. The answer is the author's name. If you are listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means it was downloaded and re-uploaded without effort. We warmly invite you to visit our channel, Fanfic World. There you will find the original version of this story and many other novels of various genres. We look forward to seeing you dive into a world of incredible novels. Chapter 365, The Earth Spider Clan. The third Raikage, staring blankly at the stalemate, was utterly bewildered. Hadn't Konoha suffered heavy losses during the invasion of Uzumaki, with most of the village's main force captured? Where did all these powerful ninjas come from now? He'd heard of Kosuke since the second Hokage, but what was this green-clad, thick-browed, bearded ninja with the ever-present yellow scarf? Then the Cloud Ninja who had carried out the assassination returned and said, this guy was actually a Genin. But, after reviewing all the intelligence, the Raikage stared at the Cloud Ninja delivering the information with utter disbelief. Are you kidding me? This guy in all green couldn't possibly be a Genin. Where did Konoha get so many powerful Genin? The Raikage frowned as he looked at the intelligence report before him. Their strength is comparable to elite Genin. Lord Raikage, I think this is all a Konoha conspiracy, a Cloud Ninja said seriously. They're having these elite Genin disguised as Genin to lull us ninja villages into a false sense of security, making us believe that Konoha's strength has been greatly reduced due to the war these past few years. And thus we've become complacent about Konoha. He sighed. Konoha is truly cunning. Possibly. The Raikage nodded in deep agreement, pondered for a moment, and sighed. Konoha's waters run too deep. He looked up at the Cloud Ninja before him. So, in your opinion, what should we do now? Continuing the stalemate isn't a solution. If we can't even defeat Konoha now that their strength has been greatly reduced, what about their original strength? It's truly terrifying to think about. How did Iwagakure and Tsunagakure respond to the encirclement attack? They simply encircled them, and everyone pushed them out in one fell swoop. Especially now that Jiraiya, one of the legendary Sennin who calls himself the Toad Sage, has appeared, there are already 3 powerful figures on the Konoha battlefield. Who knows how many more are lurking in the shadows. Therefore, the best solution is for the 3 villages to launch a joint all-out attack on Konoha. The third Tsuchikage refused. A Cloud Ninja beside him shook his head and said. He said the losses from the war with Uzumaki were too heavy, and continuing would be a burden on Iwagakure. So, Iwagakure is preparing to retreat. As for the fourth Kazekage, he said he'd agree, but after the war, the ninja sword needs to be given to Tsunagakure for research first. Bang! Hearing the Cloud Ninja's words, the Raikage slammed his fist on the table and roared, This is outrageous. Ignore them. As expected, there's only self-interest between ninja villages. Iwagakure and Sunagakure also have their eyes on the legendary ninja sword. They had already agreed that if they obtained the ninja sword, they would establish a research center in the Land of Lightning, and then each village would send ninjas to study it together. It seems that because the daimyo of the Land of Whirlpools are awake and frostborn, that big-nosed guy and the spiky-haired guy are up to something again. Keep dragging Konoha out on the battlefield. The Raikage stood up, shirtless, and said, in a few days, I'll lead some ninjas and launch a surprise attack on Konoha from this route. This war must be resolved quickly. If it drags on, who knows what other unexpected things might happen. Besides, he didn't believe Konoha really had that many powerful genin. What about that Tsuchigumo clan? Hiruzen Sarutobi took a drag of his cigarette, looking at Danzo, and said, so many days have passed, what are they thinking? The front lines are at a stalemate, but, the village's funds aren't sufficient, continuing would be a burden on the village. Fortunately, a Taijutsu-type powerhouse suddenly appeared in the village, so the situation isn't too passive. But, why has he always been a genin and never applied for the jonin exams? Hiruzen Sarutobi sighed inwardly. Looks like I'll have to have a good talk with him when I get back to the village. Especially that Forbidden Eight Gates technique, it's too harmful to the body. For his own good, I have to make him write it down on the Forbidden Scroll. This. Danzo frowned, looking at Hiruzen Sarutobi, and said helplessly, I've already sent root ninjas, they should be getting news soon. As soon as he finished speaking. Knock knock. A ninja dressed as an Anbu entered. Lord Danzo, Lord Hokage, he said respectfully. Hearing the root ninja's words, Hiruzen Sarutobi frowned, glanced at Danzo in front of him, and turned back to ask, what is it? The root ninja handed Danzo a small note, saying casually, the ninja who went to that Tsuchigumo clan sent back a message. Danzo took the note, nodded, and said, you may leave. Then, he opened the note. Disappeared? Looking at the contents, he was stunned and said incredulously, I haven't seen anyone? What's gone? Hiruzen Sarutobi glanced at the departing root ninja, then looked at Danzo, frowning, and said, what does it say? This. Danzo came to his senses, sighed, and handed the note back, saying, see for yourself. Hiruzen Sarutobi took the note, took a drag of his cigarette, and looked at it. His face froze. Cough cough. Choking on his smoke, he coughed twice, looked up at Danzo, and asked suspiciously, how could they disappear? Did the root ninjas get lost? The note read. Note Tsuchigumo clan scene. Hiruzen Sarutobi pondered for a moment, then murmured, it seems that Tsuchigumo have refused to ally with Konoha. But, where would such a large clan migrate to? Why hasn't Konoha received any news? Of course. Uzumaki-jun smiled at that Tsuchigumo clan chief and said, the Land of Whirlpools is very pleased with its Tsuchigumo clan's joining. As long as the laws of the Land of Whirlpools are followed, the Land of Whirlpools will certainly protect every citizen. Whether civilian or ninja. Thank you. Your Highness Jun. That Tsuchigumo clan chief smiled and nodded, saying, and what about school enrollment? Right now, it's almost summer vacation, so it's not suitable for school enrollment. Uzumaki-jun stroked his chin, pondered for a moment, and said, the children of the Tsuchigumo can register next year during the enrollment period. Any citizen with a Land of Whirlpools nationality can enjoy compulsory education. With a smile on his face. Then, the clan chief can have their parents bring their household registration, personal information, and their children to register. The Land of Whirlpools will not interfere with your normal activities. Under the laws of the Land of Whirlpools, everyone is equal and free. Uzumaki-jun looked at that Tsuchigumo before him. That Tsuchigumo clan can do anything legal. But, children's education is essential. Without education, how can they unify their thoughts? What if a few deadly magnetic spikes appear? I believe you, Chief Tsuchigumo, have already learned this. The Land of Whirlpools will not interfere with any student's graduation or employment. You can join the army, participate in scientific research projects, or even start your own business. The Land of Whirlpools approves of all of these. That Tsuchigumo clan has already learned this from the second elder. That Tsuchigumo clan chief said with a smile, I never imagined that such a paradise existed in this chaotic ninja world. The second elder, who had come to the Land of Whirlpools, didn't even want to return to his clan. He only sent back a poor loser who had lost a game of rock paper scissors to report. If it weren't for the conversation with the second elder through that poor loser's phone, revealing that the second elder and his men hadn't been captured by the land of whirlpools to lure that Utsugumo clan would probably have already defected to Konoha. Then, Uzumaki-jun extended his hand, looking at that Utsugumo clan chief, and said with a smile, "Welcome to the land of whirlpools. That Utsugumo will never betray the land of whirlpools." That Utsugumo clan chief solemnly extended his hand, grasped Uzumaki-jun's, then sighed, saying with a troubled expression, "What about Konoha?" "Don't worry." Uzumaki-jun narrowed his eyes, a slight smile playing on his lips, and said, "Konoha will be fine. You must know. Konoha is a ninja village full of unpredictable ninjas." Chapter 1. Chapter 366 The Last Old Era. November, Konoha year 43. The third Raikage died. According to rumors, the Raikage was leading a small team preparing for a surprise attack on Konoha. While passing through a grove outside the village, they were suddenly encountered by a group of Konoha ninja on a mission. As the Kage of Kumagakure, he naturally didn't hesitate to attack, especially since it was just a Jonin and 3 Jinan. It wouldn't take much effort, especially since they were planning a surprise attack. Why wait for them to inform the others if they weren't killed? Immediately, the roaring Kumagakure ninja charged forward. But unexpectedly, the green-clad Taijutsu-type ninja, active on the battlefield, arrived just in time, accompanied by a chillingly green light. And then, that was it. The Raikage and his 6-man squad never returned. Of course, that green-clad figure and his ninjutsu were etched into the ninja world's memory. The 8 Gates. Might die. Ultimately, under the auspices of the third Hokage, he entered the Hero's Tomb and became a hero of Konoha. However, the very morning after the Raikage's death, Konoha, along with Tsunagakure and Iwagakure, launched a simultaneous attack on Kumagakure. Caught off guard, Kumagakure suffered heavy losses and had no choice but to abandon their invasion, quickly retreating to their village to participate in the fourth Raikage's inauguration ceremony. Therefore, at the end of Konoha year 43, was the end of the Shinobi World War. The Shinobi World, like in previous wars, once again ushered in post-war peace, the land of whirlpools. Truly worthy of the old monkey. Uzumaki-jun said with a sigh, looking at today's newspaper. He actually thought of using the legendary ninja sword as bait to unite Iwagakure and Tsunagakure to besiege Kumagakure. Iwagakure and Tsunagakure probably already disliked the third Raikage. They agreed to attack the land of whirlpools together, but at the crucial moment, you damn well ran away. Furthermore, compared to the distant land of lightning, Konoha is much closer to Iwagakure and Tsunagakure. With favorable timing, location, and support, the 3 great ninja villages have decided to unite once again. However, it seems the Land of Rain is going to become a colony. According to the news, the research institute is located within the Land of Rain's borders. Hanzo of the Salamander is now old, lacking his former ambition and heroic spirit. He probably just wants to live a peaceful life in his own little corner now. As for the others, if they can't win, so be it. Otherwise, the Rain Village would have already declared war on the 3 ninja villages, like in World War II. However, unexpectedly, the third Raikage didn't die fighting against 10,000 ninjas, but instead, was kicked to death by Might Dai? That's a bit of a shame. To use a Kage's name to glorify Might Dai, in the future people will only remember the 8 Gates Might Dai, and the third Raikage kicked to death by Might Dai. He sighed inwardly. Now, only the third Hokage and the third Tsuchikage remain of the third Hokage in the ninja world. Uzumaki-jun looked at the newspaper in his hand, smiled, and muttered, "Looks like it's time to start preparing." "Why do they get paid, but we don't?" a sand ninja angrily said to his fellow captive. "Everyone's chakra has been sealed, so why do those Byakugan users get paid and have free time during holidays, while we not only don't get paid, but we're also constantly being watched and forced to attend classes? We don't get holidays, and we're not free to move around. And what's with that group of Mizuki clan members? They're actually working in the land of whirlpools too? Alright, stop complaining." His companion sighed as well, glancing at the Byakugan beside him, and said, "These Byakugan are probably from the Hyuga clan. Tisk, could it be that Konoha has made peace with the land of whirlpools? How ridiculous." A sand ninja scoffed, spitting out a mouthful of water. "They were fighting to the death just a while ago, and now they've made up? And they're even sending their village's bloodstains to work in the land of whirlpools? Has Konoha really fallen this poor?" Kakashi, who was leaning against a tree with his hands as a pillow and resting with his eyes closed, opened his eyes upon hearing someone slander Konoha. He glanced at them indifferently, then frowned as he looked at the Byakugan who had arrived a few months ago. They don't seem to be from the Hyuga clan. Kakashi murmured to himself. The Hyuga clan doesn't seem to have white hair. But those Byakugan are unmistakable. Could there be other clans in the ninja world with Byakugan? Where did he come from? Kakashi stretched, sat up, stroked his chin, and fell into deep thought. I wonder if the Hokage and the others know? And, when will the village come to ransom him? He's been working in the land of whirlpools for half a year already. Suddenly, a white dot drifted down in front of him. Kakashi paused, instinctively reaching out to catch it. Then, he slowly opened his right hand, looking at the slightly icy white dot lying quietly in his palm, and murmured, "It's snowing." Grandpa Madara. Mikado, carrying red-haired Itachi, arrived at Grandpa Madara's house. Looking around, she asked, "Where's Tobi?" Cough cough, that brat's probably off stealing food again. Don't worry about him. Madara, sitting in his wheelchair, covered his mouth and coughed twice, frowning as he looked at Mikado. It's so cold today, why did you bring Itachi here? Jun will be coming later. Mikado placed Itachi on the sofa, quietly looking at Boss Madara, and said with a smile, "Because you're my grandpa, I plan to have the whole family get together before winter." Looking at the increasingly aged Grandpa Madara, she sighed inwardly. Now, even speaking had become difficult for Grandpa Madara. Mikado remembered the first time she met Grandpa Madara, that stubborn, grumpy, boastful, and impolite Grandpa Madara. Time flies. A family. Madara paused for a moment upon hearing Mikado's words, then, still with a sour face, looked at Itachi and said, "It's cold, why didn't you give the child more clothes?" Cough cough. Before he could finish speaking, he coughed again, looking at Itachi who was reaching out to him and making babbling noises. "Take the child away. He caught a cold a few days ago, don't let him catch it." Caught a cold? Hearing Madara's words, Mikado panicked and said, "Has Madara seen a doctor?" "Tobi has already called a doctor." Madara just looked at Itachi quietly, the corners of his mouth slightly upturned, and said lightly, "He's too old, no matter how much he sees, he won't get better. He has lived long enough. Winter arrived suddenly, and I felt weak and unwell all over. Perhaps this time it really is time to." "What are you crying for?" Madara looked up at Mikado's red eyes, frowned, and said, "I've lived long enough. Longer than Hashirama." "But Grandpa Madara, you." Mikado wiped her eyes, her own eyes red, and said, "I was planning to wait for Itachi to grow up so you could teach him ninjutsu." "Itachi." Madara looked down at Itachi, who was still reaching out to him and making noises, and murmured, "There's no chance. Let that red-haired brat teach him himself." He sighed. "Let Tobi come back too. A family should have a meal together." Madara could feel that he might really not make it through this winter. No health supplements or life-saving potions had any effect on his body. But he didn't feel sad, because he had really lived long enough. If he hadn't come to the land of whirlpools, perhaps he would have been used by Black Zetsu for the rest of his life. Arriving in the land of whirlpools. After seeing so many people, hearing so many whispers, and teaching so many students, he suddenly felt incredibly happy. Perhaps even happier than Hashirama. Madara's lips curled into a slight smile. If he saw Hashirama afterward, he would definitely mock him mercilessly and say to him, Uchiha Madara also has children who love him. And a great-grandson, who will surely be stronger than you in the future, stronger than everyone else." And then, ding dong, ding dong. The doorbell rang. Chapter 2, Nothing More. Chapter 367 Change. It was the end of year 43 in Konoha. Today was the last day of the year, and also the New Year's Eve celebration in the land of whirlpools. Early in the morning, the citizens of the land of whirlpools, as usual, took their families to the supermarket to stock up on supplies during the last discount day. As people's lives became more affluent, they wanted more things. For example, they didn't want to eat tree bark and stale, rock-hard buns every day. They didn't want to wear faded, tattered clothes full of holes that couldn't keep them warm every day, and they didn't want to lie huddled in the cold every night, slowly waiting to die. War had brought them too much suffering. So, today, both commoners and ninjas who come to the land of whirlpools will use this discount period to buy new clothes for their families to welcome the new year, praying that the land of whirlpools will be stronger next year and that their lives will be better. The New Year period is also the happiest time for children in the land of whirlpools. During this time, they can wear new clothes, eat snacks, and even things that their parents wouldn't normally dare to buy will be bought today. Fruits, candies, milk, honey, potato chips, many snacks will appear before them today just as their parents said. They are very grateful to the land of whirlpools for allowing their families to eat their fill, stay warm, and enjoy a life without war. So, no matter how much the children misbehave on this day, the parents will still have happy smiles on their faces, because they hope that their children can grow up happily every day in the years to come. After preparing a sumptuous dinner, they will take the whole family out for a walk in the evening. After all, without work, it's not a good idea for the whole family to stay at home all day. Outside, the flower market, the festival, and the fireworks that herald the new year, there's so much fun tonight, it would be a waste to stay home. Everyone's face was beaming with joy. The family planned to enjoy the last day of the 43rd year, and at the same time, looked forward to an even better life next year. Kakashi casually grabbed a pancake, walking down the street while watching the New Year's Eve celebrations in the land of whirlpools, muttering, "It's very similar to the festival I encountered when I secretly came to the land of whirlpools to investigate last time. The land of fire does have temple fairs and festivals every year, but it's impossible for everyone, whether ninja or civilians, to participate like in the land of whirlpools. Where have Naruto and Shizune gone?" Kakashi casually tossed the empty pancake bag into the trash can, glancing around as if searching for something delicious or fun. The entire team was given a day off today. Even the prisoners were allowed to go out for a walk. Of course, not everyone was free, only those prisoners who were diligent, responsible, hard-working, and sincere in their studies were allowed. There were probably about 20 prisoners from each village. And before leaving, the captain had given each of them some special paper from the land of whirlpools. Apparently, they could use this to buy things in the land of whirlpools today. Kakashi had originally planned to ask Naruto and the others to go out with him, but it seemed they had already left. He'd heard they'd been taken away by a bold woman with blonde hair and a strange diamond-shaped mark on her forehead. So, Kakashi decided it was best not to disturb them. With Tsunade watching over them, he figured nothing bad would happen. Cough cough, a little thirsty. Kakashi cleared his throat, pulled out a special piece of paper from his pocket, counted it, and muttered, "Should be enough to buy a bottle of water, right?" But if he bought water, he'd only have a little money left. He wondered what he could eat later. Looking up at this prosperous and peaceful scene, his heart was filled with emotion. Konoha, when would it ever become like this? Truly prosperous. Orochimaru licked his lips, looking at the land of whirlpools before him, and said, "That daimyo of the land of whirlpools is truly amazing. To have transformed a land on the verge of destruction into a small island nation that even the 5 great shinobi villages dared not underestimate. This was no ordinary feat." "Yes." Hiruko smiled, looking at the scenery before him, and said with emotion, "Everyone here thinks he's the strongest. Stronger than the god of shinobi who ended the chaos of the Warring States period. Stronger than everyone else. And I." Hiruko's lips curled up slightly. "I think so too back then, just to gain recognition from others, to tell everyone that he was no worse than the Sannin, the stupid things he did, now it seems so childish. Perhaps." Orochimaru narrowed his eyes and said, "Where are we going now?" Since arriving in the land of whirlpools, he had been staying with Hiruko. Although his movements were somewhat restricted, he was still able to go out and about under Hiruko's guidance. In the past few months, at his request, Hiruko had taken him all over the land of whirlpools, and he even took on the role of a guest teacher at the academy. That feeling was different from when he was Naoki's teacher. Dozens of eyes below, filled with a thirst for the unknown, stared intently at him, especially when the children gasped in disbelief at his experiments. Orochimaru found that feeling quite comforting. Those eyes, pure and unadulterated, brimming with expectation and exploration, were perhaps the most beautiful eyes in the ninja world. It reminded him of when he was young. His father and mother would hold his hand, pointing to things he didn't understand but was curious about, patiently explaining, "This is." But he didn't know when it started. He stopped liking to reminisce. He never expected that in the land of whirlpools, he had changed again. Perhaps this was the legacy the old man had always talked about. Leaving hope, knowledge, and the exploration of the world to the next generation, so that the next generation could go further. But Konoha's methods were wrong long ago. They changed when the old man and his ilk forced the children to graduate early and go to the front lines. They became cold and cruel. I'm getting a little hungry. Orochimaru calmly surveyed everything before him, a slight smile playing on his lips. I heard there's some special program tonight. I wonder what it is? How intriguing. This. Hiruko stroked his chin, glancing at the newly opened hot pot restaurant nearby. How about we go get some hot pot? This winter is colder than the last few years, it's perfect for hot pot. He sighed with relief. If only Tsunade and Jiraiya were here too. It's been so many years since the four of us have had a meal together. He had gone to look for Tsunade this morning, but couldn't find her, she had already gone out. As for Jiraiya, who knows when he'll be back? Let's go. Orochimaru nodded, smiling. The next gathering will be the same. He followed Hiruzen towards the hot pot restaurant next door, but when he saw the sign, Orochimaru paused, then smiled helplessly, muttering, authentic Four Tails. Hot pot restaurant. Minato didn't know what to do. For the past few months, he had stayed in his room reading, and he felt like he had become different. Or rather, he was somewhat lost. During this time, he had even learned to question Konoha and the Hokage. Especially seeing the smiling faces around him, this questioning intensified. Now, he might understand why the daimyo of the land of whirlpools had given him freedom today, but Minato quietly looked at everything before him. These happy smiles wouldn't deceive him. Clenching his fists tightly, a strong desire welled up within him. He wanted to change Konoha, change the land of fire, change the entire ninja world, to make them like the land of whirlpools now. Just as Uzumaki Junhide smiled and extended his hand to him, saying, I hope you can change the entire ninja world with me. But back then, he hesitated. Minato, a bitter smile on his face, shook his head, gazing at everything before him. Jiraiya-sensei, is this the piece you envisioned? Chapter 1. Chapter 368 Strike. Achoo. Jiraiya rubbed his nose, patted Gamabuncha below, and said, it's so cold. Looks like even this toad sage has caught a cold. You just realized that? Gamabuncha rolled his toad eyes, took a puff of his pipe to warm himself up, and complained, you know, I was only wearing a short-sleeved shirt. You actually made me come out and travel? He was enjoying the hot springs at Mount Maiboku, eating the delicious food prepared by his grandfather, and then, he was called out as soon as he put on his short-sleeved shirt and came out of the hot springs. The feeling was really. Gamabuncha even felt like he had caught a cold too. Haha. Jiraiya laughed awkwardly and said, isn't it to get to the land of whirlpools sooner? But now it seems. Jiraiya sighed regretfully. He'd miss New Year's Eve. If we get there, I won't enter the territory. Gamabuncha took another puff of his pipe. Going in would require an injection, and this toad really can't handle it. You go in by yourself. Continuing on his way, he said, and 10 bottles of strong liquor, I'll personally deliver them to Mount Maiboku. Don't worry. Jiraiya smiled and said, I won't forget. But I wonder if the ships to Uzumaki are still running? If Gamabuncha doesn't go, am I supposed to wade through the icy water to Uzumaki myself? That's too much to ask of this toad sage. The hot pot for table number 10. Old Purple shouted loudly, and get the beef, shrimp paste, and vegetables ready, move them out quickly. Don't keep the customers waiting. Watching the busy waiters, Old Purple smiled slightly, shook his head helplessly, and muttered, looks like I need to hire more people. There simply aren't enough staff. He sighed inwardly, looking at the pot in front of him. He had quit his construction job and used his savings to open a hot pot restaurant. He originally just wanted to make a living peacefully. But unexpectedly, using the Four Tails chakra as fuel made it a hit. It's just, the Four Tails needs more fruit candy now. I have to go to the dentist every now and then for a cleaning and dental treatment, otherwise, my teeth always feel uncomfortable. As for not giving out candy, I've thought about it, but it's just a thought. You know, if I really don't give out candy, the Four Tails will go on strike and stop providing chakra. I invested so much money to keep this shop running, everything from the boiler and bowls to the tables was custom made. After all, ordinary things can't withstand the Four Tails chakra. The chakra of a tailed beast is just too strong. So, to keep the shop running smoothly and avoid bankruptcy, I can only try to keep the tailed beast inside me happy. Why are there so many customers today? The Four Tails voice rang out again inside me. Never mind, I'm just too tired. Today's candy must be doubled. If it's not doubled, I won't dare to go on strike. You. Hearing the Four Tails words, I was furious, but thinking of my shop. I quickly took a deep breath and forced a smile. Whatever you say, no wonder the tailed beasts and humans can't reconcile. This kind of last-minute price increase, it makes me want to hit the tailed beast. But after thinking about it, it's illegal to mistreat endangered animals in the land of whirlpools, so I decided against it. She sighed inwardly. Old Purple stroked his thick beard and muttered, why isn't a single girl interested in me? He also wanted to close his shop today and take his whole family to watch the fireworks. Orochimaru? Tsunade looked at her smiling, squinting friend beside her, paused, and called out, what are you doing here? Tsunade. Orochimaru heard someone call him, turned to look at Tsunade, and said with a smile, I was just about to look for you. Come on in. Tsunade glanced at Haruko, who was surrounded nearby, and immediately understood why her captured friend was free to move around. She quickly invited, we haven't had a drink in ages, come and eat with us. Perfect. I can pay the bill later. When Nahara, Rin and Shizune, who were beside Tsunade, saw Orochimaru arrive, they became a little flustered and quickly said, Lord Orochimaru. Lord Orochimaru smiled and nodded, saying, don't be nervous, it seems you're doing quite well in the land of whirlpools. Waiter, bring 2 more sets of chopsticks. Tsunade shouted heartily, holding up her chopsticks. Then, she glanced at Haruko and shook her head helplessly. He's still so fond of showing off. Yes. Orochimaru sighed and nodded in agreement, saying, as soon as I walked in, people surrounded me, especially family members who came up to ask about their children's classes. Plus, the newspapers have been reporting on his outstanding contributions to biology and the awards he's received lately. I guess everyone in the land of whirlpools knows him now. Looks like it's not going to stop anytime soon. The words had barely left his mouth, when suddenly, a little boy walked over excitedly, addressing Tsunade and Orochimaru. Tsunade-sensei, Orochimaru-sensei. Hello. Orochimaru paused for a moment upon hearing the boy's words, then smiled and said, Happy New Year. Ida. Tsunade also put down her chopsticks and smiled, Happy New Year. Your whole family is here for hot pot too. Yes. Tsunade-sensei. Ida nodded, then turned to Orochimaru, excitedly asking, Orochimaru-sensei, when will you come to teach us again? Everyone thinks your classes are very interesting. It's just that some girls think they're a little scary. Ida grinned foolishly, but everyone loves listening to your lectures. Not only are they incredibly interesting, but there's even stewed toad to eat afterward. Next time. Orochimaru paused for a moment, then smiled and said, I'll go next time I have time. Okay. Ida nodded happily and said, I'll tell them when school starts, I'm sure they'll be very happy. Then, looking at his table, he said, Teachers, please continue eating. He skipped away, leaving behind Tsunade and Rin Nahara, who were all staring at Orochimaru with narrowed eyes. When did you become a teacher? Tsunade looked at Orochimaru and asked in confusion, how come I didn't know? A few days ago, Haruko had something to do, so I covered his get out of class. Orochimaru smiled gently, picked up his chopsticks, dipped a piece of beef in the sauce, put it in his mouth, and said casually, I didn't become a teacher there. I see. Tsunade nodded, picked up her chopsticks, took a meatball, and said with emotion, actually, being a teacher is pretty good. At least it's much more interesting than being a ninja. Then, looking at the 2 little girls staring blankly at her and Orochimaru beside her. Don't overthink it. Tsunade shook her head helplessly and said with a smile, we are still Konoha ninjas, we haven't betrayed the village. What are these 2 girls thinking? At this moment. Sorry. Haruko also came over, smiling, and sat down, saying, those families are very concerned about their children's studies, so I'm a little embarrassed to refuse. He picked up the beer next to him, opened it casually, and took a swig, looking at Tsunade who was rolling her eyes. I went to look for you this morning, but you weren't there. I didn't expect to run into you here. I brought 2 juniors from the village out to relax. Tsunade sighed and said angrily, no days off all year round, no pay, what a black-hearted factory. She had asked Uzumaki-jun to open a back door and let these 2 girls go, but she was refused. Tsunade slammed her hand on the table. It's really infuriating. Although she knows that the daimyo's actions are not wrong, But, it's just infuriating. Hiruko's face immediately broke into an awkward smile upon hearing this, and he said, after all, it's war. He didn't know what else to say. He knew that life as a prisoner of war in the land of whirlpools was quite comfortable. Besides, he was no longer a Konoha ninja. Chapter 2. That's all. The following is a group chat. 8770 Yao 9492. The answer is the author's name. Chapter 369 Silly Grin. Please enter in an orderly fashion, do not push or shove, Obito shouted, waving his baton. Just sit down where you see an empty seat, keep order, and don't run around. Watching the crowd steadily making their way to the central square, he sighed inwardly. There was still over an hour before the event started. Why was everyone in such a rush? His voice was hoarse from shouting. But now, Obito could only patiently direct the flow. There are plenty of seats, please don't panic. Adults, please take care of your children. Obito shouted and directed. At this crucial moment, no mishaps were allowed. Especially looking at the enormous crystal cube towering in the central square. This thing seemed to have been built a long time ago. He'd heard from the higher-ups that it was prepared for today's special program. However, he'd seen it in the monitoring room, but it wasn't this big. It seemed to only show the surveillance equipment. Therefore, he was still very curious. What was it for? Suddenly, Obito stared blankly at the white-haired, spiky-haired boy with his chin covered standing before him, then said calmly, please show me your travel permit. Shouldn't this brat be in the labor camp? What's he doing here? Could it be he ran away? Obito narrowed his eyes at Kakashi, remembering that year, that month, that day, that night. If it weren't for Jiraiya interfering, he would have won long ago. However, just as Obito reached behind him to touch his sword. Here. Kakashi pulled an A4 sheet of paper from his pocket, saying expressionlessly, good behavior, you're free to do as you please tonight. Obito took the permit, glared at him, then lowered his head to examine it carefully, intending to see if it was real or fake. After a moment, he looked up at Kakashi, snorted coldly, and said, consider yourself lucky. He then handed the permit back to Kakashi. Go in. For some reason, every time he saw this white-haired, spiky-haired boy, he felt a little annoyed. If I find out you violated any of the laws of the land of whirlpools in any way, Obito said angrily to Kakashi, I will arrest you myself. I hope you won't give me the chance. However, Kakashi shrugged upon hearing Obito's words, said nothing, quickly pulled down his mask, and immediately put the straw in his hand to take a sip of the black drink. It was icy cold and fizzy, quite refreshing. Then, in a very short time, he put his mask back on, took the certificate, gave Obito, who was glaring at him, a meaningful look, and walked straight inside. This idiot. As a genius of Konoha, Kakashi disdained arguing with an idiot who had forgotten to bring his ninja tool pouch. He had just seen the Whirlpool's policeman reach behind him for his ninja tool pouch. Kakashi shook his head helplessly. How did this kind of person even get into the Whirlpool's police station? He forgot his ninja tool pouch when he fought him last time, and this time, he didn't bring it either. Lord Madara, your hot tea has been reheated. Afei, beaming, skipped over, handing Madara the thermos in his right hand. And this. He held up a small bundle wrapped in yellow paper in his left hand. A roast chicken from the land of whirlpools, fresh out of the oven. I bought it on my way here, it's still warm. Madara expressionlessly took the chicken, sniffed it, and then stuffed it directly into his thick winter coat, nodding in satisfaction. It was indeed warm. Then, he took the thermos, pulled down the towel wrapped around his chin, gently opened the cup, breathed on it, carefully sipped, closed it again, put it back into his coat, and closed his eyes. A series of actions, all done in one smooth motion. And Afei watched Madara's actions, his face still beaming. He was already used to that expression. It's been a habit for years, just like the talent I've had since childhood, drawing poop. Recently, Afei feels his drawing skills have improved considerably. But, Lord Madara, are you really not going back? Afei looked at the light snow falling, and the road, which had been cleared, was now slowly turning white again due to the sudden snowfall. He said worriedly, it's starting to snow. Lord Madara only recovered from a cold a few days ago. If he gets sick again, it will be troublesome. Even now, Lord Madara is completely wrapped in thick winter clothes, even his ears and hair are covered, Only his eyes are visible. In this weather, it's still too dangerous. You know, Lord Madara is really old. However, Lord Madara opened his eyes, glanced at Afehi indifferently, and then slowly closed them again. Afehi scratched his head, seeing that Lord Madara didn't say anything, sighed helplessly, and could only walk back to the wheelchair and continue pushing Lord Madara forward. He glanced at Madara's bulging arms. Madara couldn't eat hard things anymore, but for some reason, he loved holding them, whether it was pancakes, roast pork, or roast chicken. Every time, he'd ask Madara to buy them, then sniff them and quietly hold them in his arms until they got cold, then Madara would give them to him to eat. This puzzled Afei greatly. He didn't know why Madara did this. But, slowly, he got used to it. Every time he saw something freshly made and hot, he'd buy one for Madara, because he sensed that Madara seemed very happy then. Afei quietly pushed Madara, stepping through the light snow, slowly moving forward, watching the crowds passing by. Occasionally, a few of his students would stop and call out, "Hello, Teacher Afei." And Toby smiled and replied, but he still pushed the wheelchair slowly. He didn't dare push too fast, worried that Madara's body couldn't bear it. Because Madara was really so old, so old. Just when Toby thought Madara had fallen asleep again. "Let's go for a walk." Madara suddenly opened his eyes, turned his head and glanced at Toby, saying lightly, "And take another look at the land of whirlpools." If he didn't see it now, perhaps he would never see it again. "Walk slowly." Madara gently patted the roast chicken in his arms and said lightly, "It's still early. As long as you get there on time, don't keep Itachi and Mikado waiting." "Okay." Toby heard Madara's words, his face still beaming with that cheerful smile, and nodded. "Toby will be careful." HMPH. Madara snorted coldly, then said nothing, quietly looking around. After an unknown amount of time, looking at Madara's calm expression. "Does Lord Madara want to go back to Konoha for a visit?" Toby's heart skipped a beat, but then he seemed to remember something and immediately put on a smile, saying, "If Lord Madara wants to go, I can take you. However, what's the point of going to Konoha?" Lord Madara rolled his eyes and said indifferently, "There's nothing to see there. Besides the statues of him and Hashirama at the Valley of the End, what else is there in Konoha now? It no longer belongs to him and Hashirama. Now even the Uchiha clan has moved to the land of whirlpools, so what's the point of going back?" Toby nodded, grinning foolishly. "That's true. Lord Madara's entire clan is here now, so you don't have any relatives when you go back. You won't be able to find a place to stay, and you might catch a cold." Lord Madara snorted coldly upon hearing Toby's teasing words, said nothing, and closed his eyes again. How much time had passed? Just when Toby thought Lord Madara was tired and had fallen asleep again. "Wait for me. Dead. Then leave." Lord Madara suddenly opened his eyes again and said calmly, "Leave the land of whirlpools, don't go back to Black Zetsu's side." He turned his head, his eyes cloudy, and quietly looked at Toby. "With that brat Uzumaki-jun around, Black Zetsu won't succeed. So, find a place. Just live quietly, otherwise." Lord Madara's eyes sharpened. "I will kill you." Hearing Lord Madara's words, Toby was stunned for a moment, then nodded, still wearing that silly grin. The silly grin he had since he came into this world. "Okay, I'll listen to Lord Madara." Chapter 1. Chapter 370. Back then. Madara. Uzumaki soon sighed inwardly as he looked at the increasingly aged Madara, now seated in a wheelchair. The once invincible Uchiha Madara was now frail and old. He still remembered the first time he met Madara in the cave. Madara's arrogant laughter, his icy gaze. Although Madara was also old then, that domineering aura was still visible, that, the aura of all heroes under heaven are only Hashirama and I. A smile appeared on Uzumaki-sun's face. Back then, Madara even tried to trick him with a Rinnegan. But now, that arrogant and domineering aura was nowhere to be seen. As expected. HMPH. Madara snorted coldly at Uzumaki-jun, glanced at the three women behind him, then turned to look at Mikado, who was holding Itachi, and said, "Did you dress the child in a few more layers?" Then, under everyone's puzzled gazes, Madara pulled a small bundle wrapped in yellow paper from his pocket, handed it to him, and said casually, "Hold it, it'll keep you warm. You can eat it if you're hungry." Uzumaki-jun stared at the bundle of yellow paper with a blank expression. Madara actually brought his own roast chicken? But, it seems Madara really likes Itachi. Even when he was so young, she was already thinking about bringing Itachi roast chicken. Okay. Mikado paused for a moment, then took the roast chicken, covering her mouth and laughing. You'll eat it when you're hungry. Holding Itachi, she looked at Grandpa Madara. Look, Grandpa Madara brought you roast chicken. It's just that Itachi is still too young to eat it. After taking out the roast chicken, Madara closed his eyes again. He was old, so old that he didn't have much interest in anything new anymore. If it weren't for wanting to go out and see the land of whirlpools while he was still able to move, to see Mikado and the child, he would just want to lie quietly in bed now. Because, he should die. He should have died when Hashirama died. Seeing Grandpa Madara close his eyes, Mikado and the others lowered their voices a little. Everyone sat quietly together, only the sound of Mikado humming a light tune, rocking the child, and the child's giggles could be heard. Warm and peaceful. Kushina leaned against Mikado, her eyes slightly curved, teasing Itachi with a smile. He's so cute. Especially that familiar red hair. It really looks like. And then. ZZZZT. Suddenly, a huge crystal cube flashed with light, and then. Thump thump. A rhythmic, solemn sound rang out. Everyone stared at the huge crystal cube in the square, exclaiming in surprise. How come there are images on it? Yeah, and there's even a sound. That's right, that's the former land of whirlpools. Uzumaki-jun looked at the crystal screen with a smile, looking at the images that appeared on it. That's right. That was the former land of whirlpools. The land of whirlpools, a ruin right after the First World War. Back then, he built factories, sent Gato out to buy supplies, learned to fish in the cold winter, exchanged for Earth's technological research, adapted it to the development of the ninja world, redivided the regions, built houses one by one, and so on. Step by step, he came to this point. Until now, the land of whirlpools, which the 5 great ninja villages dare not underestimate. Slowly, the scene shifted with the Uzumaki clan's ritual music. Everyone fell silent, intently watching the screen. Even many elderly people who had experienced the hardships, chaos, and rebuilding their homes from ruins of the land of whirlpools past, their eyes unconsciously welled up with tears. Only they knew, perhaps the land of whirlpools was very wealthy and powerful now, but how difficult that time had been. They were always acutely aware of it. The others also had some knowledge of this history. It was taught on the Academy's history books, but only when they truly saw this scene could they truly feel how difficult it had been for the land of whirlpools to develop to its current state. Even Madara watched the screen silently, saying nothing. As the scene shifted, the wooden house gradually transformed into a sturdy cement building, the roads became wider and smoother, and more people appeared. Finally, a red-haired child appeared on the screen. Uzumaki-jun stood in the plaza, raising his little hand, and shouted firmly, "The land of whirlpools will definitely become strong. I declare the land of whirlpools republic officially established. The ninja world will definitely achieve peace." Seeing this scene, Uzumaki-jun suddenly turned his head to look at Kushina, seeing her also squinting her eyes, seemingly happy as she looked at him, and sighed inwardly. So much time had passed without him realizing it. As the song slowed down, just as the scene ended, Madara sighed and said softly, "You are great. Greater than Hashirama. Perhaps you can truly achieve what Hashirama and I envision." He looked up at the silent crowd around him. "I hope you can continue on this path." "I will." Uzumaki soon smiled and nodded. He was just someone with a system. Then, he continued watching the big screen. The beginning was just to remind everyone to stay true to their original aspirations and cherish everything they have now. The new year should be a time for joy and happiness. So, the real show was about to begin. If you spread your wings and fly. Suddenly, the scene changed, and a soprano voice rang out. Shinsukyoru. Everyone stared at the woman appearing on the screen. If only I could travel through time. Shinhaku, microphone in hand, seemed to soar in the azure sky, her face radiating confidence and pride as the image behind her changed. Fly to the sky. As the song began, everyone's previously silent expressions turned into smiles, and they listened quietly. "This song is so beautiful," Mikado said with a smile. "What's it called?" "Bluebird." Uzumaki soon nodded and said, "It represents freedom and the future." The opening theme of Naruto. When they were choosing a singer, he selected Shinhaku Yorub. Shinhaku Yoruba's daughter has now grown into a beautiful young woman. It's said that she and Zi Chang, no wonder Zi Chang's body has become so strong. It seems that not only are regular doctor visits a factor, but Yoruba probably also secretly stole her S-rank honey for Zi Chang. This song is quite suitable for Yoruba. The rhythm is light and uplifting, with a vibrant and positive tone. Shen Yefanyukli sang the theme of breaking free from constraints and soaring into the sky. Meanwhile, not far away. See that? See that? Shen Qingfeng, with her arms around Maya Shiraman's neck, laughed proudly. My daughter, that's my daughter up there, isn't she beautiful? Quick. Maya Shiraman, feeling uncomfortable from Shen Qingfeng's embrace, was about to suffocate when she quickly slapped his hand away, rolled her eyes, and said irritably, beautiful, beautiful. I know you're proud, but could you tone it down a bit? Didn't you see everyone around you staring at you? Suddenly, Maya Shiraman seemed to remember something, her eyes darted around, and she pulled Shen Qingfeng's neck back, saying cheerfully, you know, I have a son. He inherited my handsome looks, and is both handsome and tall. Chapter 2, that's all. There's a group, feel free to join if you're interested. Chapter 371 Pride. Kakashi, sipping his soda, glanced at the police officer staring intently at him, a helpless expression on his face. He really didn't mean anything by it. Why wasn't he being stared at so intently? Besides, with his chakra sealed and his ninja sword sheathed, even if he was skilled in taijutsu, he'd probably be easily defeated by someone else's ninjutsu. So, he might as well just wait here for the Hokage to come and ransom him. Sigh. Kakashi sighed, pulling his mask back down, then continued watching the large screen in the central square, muttering, this is quite interesting. He decided to ignore that idiot next to him. Watching the program would distract him, otherwise, it was too annoying. As for Obito, staring intently. He had heard from the older generation that a long time ago, the Uchiha clan were also Konoha ninjas, but, once the birds were gone, the bow was put away, once the rabbits were dead, the hounds were cooked. The Uchiha clan's predecessors died a terrible death. So, although the uniform he was wearing prevented him from acting recklessly, he absolutely mustn't give him an opportunity, otherwise, he would definitely punish them severely, patiently explaining the laws of the land of whirlpools. Hello. Just as Obito was glaring at Kakashi through gritted teeth. Excuse me, is there any room left? 2 girls and their companions. Wow, that's huge. Obito paused, looked at Tsunade, then at the 2 girls in front of him, pointing to the seats beside him, and said, hello, well, there's room over there. Looking at the girl in front of him with short black hair, purple makeup on her face, and smiling eyes. So sweet. Obito suddenly had a strange feeling. Huh? Kakashi. Nahura-rin looked in the direction Obito was pointing, paused for a moment, then exclaimed happily. She turned around, bent down, and smiled at Obito. Thank you. She looked up. Lady Tsunade, Lady Haruko, Lady Orochimaru, there's a spot over there with Kakashi. We can go there. She pulled Shizune and ran towards Kakashi. Uchiha brat. Tsunade and Haruko squinted at the still-dazed Obito, a meaningful smile on their faces. Pretty, isn't she? Pretty. Obito nodded, but before he could finish, he snapped out of it, looking warily at Tsunade and Haruko. He coughed twice, raised his head, and squinted disdainfully, saying righteously, I'm a police officer from the land of whirlpools, I would never like a girl from Konoha. Thump. Before Obito could finish, Tsunade punched him. This idiot. Then, without saying a word, he walked towards Kakashi and the others. As for Haruko, he shrugged, smiling with narrowed eyes, and said, who isn't? I was a Konoha ninja back then, and now I am the dean of the land of Whirlpool's Biological Academy. So, be bolder, or you'll end up like Jiraiya and Tsunade. However, suddenly a wooden clog flew over and hit Haruko squarely in the face. Thump. He was knocked to the ground. Haruko struggled to his feet, gripping the handrail beside him. Seeing the strange looks he received from those around him, he coughed twice, straightened his clothes expressionlessly, as if nothing had happened, and then, dared not say anything more, walking directly towards Kakashi. It was truly terrifying. As for Orochimaru, he maintained a smile throughout, saying and doing nothing, casually finding a seat. Then, staring. He kept staring. Kakashi felt even more uncomfortable now. Especially when Nahura-rin spoke to him. That feeling intensified. A bead of cold sweat broke out on his forehead as he glanced at Obito beside him, who looked like he wanted to devour him. What was going on? Why did this idiot seem to hate him even more? As time passed, the program kept changing, keeping all the audience entertained and feeling incredibly satisfied. They had never seen such a performance before. It was truly astonishing. Song after song, and now on stage was Zichin. Completely tone deaf, he wasn't singing, but instead leading a group of martial arts ninja in a boxing match on stage. This idiot. Madara looked at Zichin on stage, a slight smile playing on his lips, and muttered, "That's taijutsu, not for show." But it was quite interesting to watch. As for Uzumaki-san, hearing Madara's words, he habitually rolled his eyes. "Look how smug you are, you just created your own taijutsu." He knew about this too. The 7-day breathing technique, a technique that activates the whole body by absorbing large amounts of oxygen, was available through the system. He just wondered if Zichin and Yeffen got married, their child would be named Zilu. Not wanting to disturb Boss Ban's enjoyment, Uzumaki-san quietly watched the show, guessing that Boss Ban would be smug again later. After all, there were many of his former students on stage. Little did he know, there was chaos backstage right now. "Where's Yohiko?" Nagato grabbed the backstage manager by the neck and shouted, "Where did he go? The next show is about to start. If he doesn't come soon, he'd be the only boy going on stage with Conan." That was just too embarrassing. Especially that song, that dance. Nagato glanced at Conan, who was holding a cat. Meowing like a cat. "Sunni, what kind of weird song did you give her? Does owning a cat mean you have to sing this song? Besides, that's Conan's cat, what does it have to do with him, Nagato? Could he just let Conan go on stage alone?" Don't be angry, don't be angry." The administrator quickly tried to calm Nagato down, saying, "We've already sent people to look for him, we believe they'll find him soon." Before he could finish speaking. Ring ring, ring ring. "Look." The administrator pulled out his phone. Did I get a message? "Hello?" He answered the phone and called out, "If you find him, have him come over right away." Huh? Is that so? Oh, okay. The administrator turned off his phone, cold sweat beading on his forehead as he looked at Nagato, who was squinting at him. Ahem. He coughed twice, brushed Nagato's hand away, straightened his collar expressionlessly, and then took off running. "If you can't find him, Nagato-sama, you'll have to go up there yourself. If anything happens, just call me." Leaving Nagato speechless. There was something he didn't know whether to say or not. Nagato stared speechlessly at the administrator, whose back was already out of sight. Should he run away too? Thinking of this, just as he was about to lift his leg. "Nagato." A voice suddenly came from behind. "What do you want to do?" Nagato quickly turned around, looking at Conan behind him with a gloomy face and a smile on her face. He immediately smiled and said, "I'm just a little hungry and want to go find something to eat." "Oh?" Conan, holding the cat, squinted and smiled. "In that case, bring me some too, if you don't come back later. HMPH. Meow." The paper cat also squinted and meowed. Nagato glanced at the cat, then at Conan. "Ahem. I'm suddenly not hungry anymore, it's okay to wait a little longer. I'm really at that bastard Yohiko." He ran away without even telling him. "I hope he doesn't see me, otherwise, just as Nagato was cursing Yohiko in his mind. Next song, Learn to Meow, performed by the White Paper Squad. Luckily I got away quickly. The orange-haired youth wiped the cold sweat from his forehead, muttering with lingering fear, "Otherwise, my reputation would be ruined." Sipping his black carbonated drink through a straw, he watched the big screen with Schadenfreude. "Nagato, I'm so sorry." Then, PFFT. He spat out a mouthful of soda, looking at the orange-haired youth who looked exactly like him on the screen, and immediately said angrily, "Nagato, you bastard. If you are listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means it was downloaded and re-uploaded without effort. We warmly invite you to visit our channel, Fanfic World. There you will find the original version of this story and many other novels of various genres. We look forward to seeing you dive into a world of incredible novels." Chapter 372, Clan Members. As time passed, at the moment the fireworks were set off and the bells rang, everyone knew Konoha's 43rd year had ended, and a new year had begun. Happy New Year! Everyone smiled and said to their companions, "Work hard in the new year too." Haha, you too. I'm definitely saving up for a down payment on a house this year. Congratulations, congratulations. Blessings echoed across the square, and then, on the central screen. If you spread your wings and fly. The bluebird sang again, bringing the evening's performance to a close. Where is the target? Accompanied by the song. Please leave in an orderly manner, do not crowd. The administrators came out again to manage the order. Group A members, please leave first. Don't panic, it will be quick. Everyone waited quietly for the administrator's instructions. That was great. Tsunade sighed regretfully, I didn't expect it to end so quickly. She stretched. Where do we go now? I need to go back. Kakashi casually put his paper cup in the trash can and said lightly, our free time is over. He dared not do anything reckless, especially with a Vortex policeman next to him who was staring at him. It seemed like he was looking forward to him making a mistake, which was really a headache. Yes. Nahore nodded and said, I have to go to work tomorrow, so I have to go back early. That damn daimyo of Uzumaki. Tsunade cursed angrily, then sighed and said helplessly, I wonder how the old man will handle this? She knew in her heart that the current outcome was already pretty good, but she was still a little unhappy and habitually cursed a couple of times. Never mind, kids shouldn't stay up late. Looking at Haruko and Orochimaru beside her, she narrowed her eyes and said threateningly, what about you guys? I'm a little hungry, let's go get something to eat. Haruko shivered, touched his face, and said, anyway, I'm resting tomorrow. Jiraiya. When will you be back? As long as you come back, Tsunade will only beat you up. As for Orochimaru, still narrowing his eyes, he smiled and nodded, saying, I don't care. Did he have a choice? Since that's the case. Tsunade nodded in satisfaction, raised her right fist, and said, let's have some skewers and beer. Let's go. Jiraiya sneezed and patted Gamabunta, saying, it's so cold. No need to rush, we're already going to miss it anyway, and this cold wind is making me uncomfortable. Gamabunta raised an eyebrow and said casually, if you had known it would be like this, could you have waited until the snow melted before leaving? It was just asking for trouble. I thought we could make it. Jiraiya sighed, saying helplessly, but even the toad sage miscalculated. So, now I don't want to suffer. Please slow down your jumps. After the program ended, most people, holding their sleeping children, planned to go home and rest. They were quite tired after a long day. Of course, some energetic people continued with the next activity, planning to have some more fun on the first day of the new year. Clan leader, I'll head back now, a man with the white eyes said to Otsutsuki Chang'ai beside him. I have to go to work tomorrow. Huh? Another man with the white eyes said. You have to go to work? But I don't have to go tomorrow, so in that case. Those who don't have to go to work, let's continue. That's good. Those who have to go to work tomorrow, go back and rest now, don't get your wages docked. As for those who don't have to go to work, shall we prepare for the next round? The rest of the time is for us men, he. As soon as he finished speaking, a chorus of lewd laughter erupted. I won't go, Otsutsuki Chang'ai nodded with a smile and said, you guys make your own arrangements, don't worry about me. Remember to have fun. Then, looking at a young man with the white eyes who looked to be about 30 years old in front of him, he asked, Longren, is there something you need? Clan leader, it's just. Longren scratched his head awkwardly and said, Xingzi told me last night that the education in the land of whirlpools is quite good, and she hopes to take her child in, so you, looked expectantly at Otsutsuki Chang'ai, could you ask His Highness soon, to go up again? Is that so? Otsutsuki Chang'ai frowned and pondered for a moment. Looking at the expectant eyes of the other families beside him, he nodded and said, I'll ask tomorrow. Thank you, clan chief. Hearing the clan chief's agreement, Longren and the others bowed happily, saying, thank you for your trouble. Otsutsuki Chang'ai nodded, said nothing, turned around with his hands behind his back, and walked in his own direction. Everyone has changed. He sighed inwardly. Even I have changed. Reaching the street, he looked at the ordinary people around him still discussing the New Year's Eve party. Perhaps they were truly wrong back then? They only thought that ninjas brought war and chaos to the world, wanting to destroy ninjas, destroy the ninja world, and re-establish order, without paying attention to the thoughts of these ordinary people. Even if the world is difficult and painful, these ordinary people still want to stubbornly survive. Perhaps the daily war fills them with fear, dread, and sorrow, but, to live. To strive to live is what they desire most. They never thought about death, and yet he, selfishly chose it for them. Perhaps this is what the books mean by being detached from the masses for too long. Otsutsuki Chengayao shook his head self-deprecatingly, just like the Otsutsuki clan members earlier. They were just ordinary people. They wanted a good life, wanted to watch their children grow up, wanted to go out for a drink with friends when they had free time. But before, they considered themselves gods, a group of gods who ruled the ninja world. Otsutsuki Chengayao took out his key and opened his door. Because they had always lived on the moon, the Otsutsuki clan had practically no money, so, this house was bought with a loan. Every time I think about the mortgage, I really have this urge to destroy the ninja world. He smiled helplessly. He went into the room, turned on the light, and sat on the sofa in the living room. Otsutsuki Chengyu stared blankly at the light on the ceiling. Finally, he sighed, took out his phone, hesitated for a moment, and then dialed a number. Ring ring. Hello? After a while, a familiar voice came from the other end. Chengyu? Otsutsuki Fusuma's voice came through, saying, "What's up calling me so late?" Then, he laughed loudly. Haha, I just showed all the human people the images transmitted from the ninja world. It seems the land of whirlpools is quite impressive. They can receive them from the moon too? Otsutsuki Chengyu was stunned for a moment, then came to his senses. He remembered the small crystal cube that Prince Sun left behind when he went to the moon. That must be it. Happy New Year, he said calmly. Happy New Year, Otsutsuki Fusuma said. It's a new year now. Isn't it? I didn't expect the ninja world to have such an interesting holiday. Yes, Otsutsuki Chengyu said, a slight smile playing on his lips, his expression still blank. It's quite interesting. By the way, you still haven't said what you wanted to see me about? Otsutsuki Fusuma asked curiously. Did something happen in the land of whirlpools? No, Chengyu shook his head and said calmly, it's just, I need your help with something. What is it? Fusuma said. Just say it, we're all clansmen. Some clansmen want to bring their children to the land of whirlpools. Chengyu paused for a moment, then said coldly, ask if His Highness soon can go and pick them up. Yes, they were all clansmen, but I don't know when it started, they became like enemies. It seems, it started when the ancestral will diverged. Oh, is that so? Otsutsuki Fusuma said cheerfully. I spoke to Prince Sun a few days ago and heard that you're doing well. Some members of the main family also wish to go to the land of whirlpools. I can take the child down with me in a few days. I'll need your help looking after the main family then. Chengyu paused for a moment upon hearing Fusuma's words, a slight smile appearing on her lips. She said calmly, no trouble at all, because we are all family. Chapter 2, that's all. There's a group, those interested can join. Chapter 373 The Ice and Snow Melt. This year's winter in the land of whirlpools is longer than usual. It's already mid-February, yet a light layer of snow still blankets the area. Perhaps the snow is only a hazy layer now, but unlike previous years when it melted by early February, this year's snow hasn't melted at all. After the New Year's Eve celebrations and the grand festival of the land of whirlpools in January, everyone has begun to focus on their work. After these past few years of, saving the people of the ninja world, the population of the land of whirlpools has reached an unbelievable level. Therefore, even though the recent land reclamation has expanded the territory considerably, the average land area per person is still somewhat scarce. So, to ensure sufficient housing, 2- or 3-story villas are decreasing, and large high-rise buildings are slowly emerging. As for the land reclamation project, it's still ongoing. How is Madara doing lately? Uzumaki-jun looked at Mikado, who was soothing a child beside him, stretched his neck, and asked, is he feeling better? Since that party, Madara has stayed inside the house and hasn't ventured out again. These days, the furthest Madara might go is the tightly closed balcony. Mikado says that Madara often stares out the window, and then, he falls asleep without realizing it. Although Mikado occasionally brings Madara high-concentration life-saving potions, it seems they no longer work. Birth, aging, sickness, and death are the norm for ordinary people in the ninja world. Unless one fuses with the 10 tails and breaks the limits of life, otherwise, even the sage of 6 paths is left with only chakra wandering the ninja world. So, Madara is old. His life, ever since he was naively deceived by Hashirama's smooth talk, has been a path of no return. He spent most of his life fighting for peace in the ninja world, only to discover in the end that the dream he held so dear was a mistake. It could be said that from that moment on, Madara was lost. Perhaps even becoming a teacher was merely a way to see if the Buddhism of the land of whirlpools could truly help him realize his dream. It could be said that Madara's later life was perhaps bleak, laughable, and tragic, but, at least his current ending is beautiful. You can tell from his occasional outbursts of beating up his students, or his blank stares while holding Itachi. Madara had long accepted this reality. He, now probably just wants to see Hashirama one last time, and then, to mock him mercilessly. Uchiha Madara, am also loved. And Hashirama, you idiot. I was wrong too. But, in the end, I won. Madara was always worried about Hashirama, as evidenced by the tattoo on Hashirama's chest. Perhaps jealousy was a factor. Jealousy. Why did Hashirama have children in Konoha who loved him, while Madara was so afraid of even helping a child? Why did everyone in the village believe Hashirama was right, while no one believed Madara? Why? In the end, even his best friend Hashirama didn't believe him. Is there really no way for Grandpa Madara? Mikado, holding Itachi, looked at the snow outside the window, a slight smile on her lips, and murmured, although Grandpa Madara has a bad temper, a sour face, doesn't like to smile, and always gives people a hard time, but I know. That's just because Grandpa Madara is very lonely inside. Actually, he is. Very good. Grandpa Madara. Lifting Itachi up. Looking at Itachi, who was giggling and swaying his body, her eyes involuntarily welled up with tears. Is Itachi right? Grandpa Madara likes you very much? But Uzumaki-jun still quietly looked at Mikado, sighed inwardly, and said nothing. There was indeed a way. A few days ago, he secretly went to see Boss Madara alone and told him about the Rhine rebirth technique, which only required finding an unlucky person to perform it on. But Boss Madara refused. Is Hashirama here? These were the words Madara coldly uttered as he stared at him. He even threatened soon, telling him not to bother him again, and that after his death, the Rinnegan would be disposed of by the land of whirlpools. Now, he wanted to use those eyes to see the ninja world, so that he could laugh at Hashirama mercilessly. So, Madara had long since lied enough. In his lifetime, aside from Kikuzu, the pseudo-god of shinobi, who was practically a 50-50 matchup, everyone else was gone, even his best and most hated friend. And, his long-held dream was all a lie. What was he doing here all alone? Finally, he even said he would let Tobi leave the land of whirlpools, hoping that Uzumaki-san would let Tobi go. Although Uzumaki-san had never intended to kill Tobi, seeing the implied pleading in Madara's eyes, he still smiled and nodded, saying nothing more. This winter is so long. Mikado wiped away the tears from the corners of her eyes, looked at Sun, and said, I'll take Itachi to see Grandpa Madara this afternoon. Do you want to come along? I won't. Uzumaki-san smiled and shook his head, saying, recently, Madara said he doesn't want to see me. He sighed inwardly. It's better not to get in his way. This was the agreement he had made with Madara. He would only appear after Tobi left the land of whirlpools. Uzumaki-san looked out the window and murmured, actually, I've always been a good person. Why was Madara so worried about him? Shaking his head, he smiled helplessly. You can take Itachi with you, and just let me know. Uzumaki-san smiled at Mikado. Madara's students will probably be visiting during this time, so I won't go. Okay. Mikado nodded gently and said, I'll tell Madara. Although she was curious about what had happened between Madara and Sun, as a wife, she knew better than to meddle in men's affairs. The sun is really strong today. Mikado said with a smile, looking out the window. Maybe winter is coming to an end, and Grandpa Madara will feel a bit better then. Then, she looked down at Itachi. Itachi, Mom's right. Before she could finish speaking. Ring ring, ring ring. Uzumaki-jun took out his phone, looked at the number on the screen, paused for a moment, as if he had thought of something, and sighed inwardly. Tobi. In the end, he still came. He answered the phone and took a deep breath. Hello? Lord Jun. I've already left. Konoha. What do you think of my proposal? Hirozen Sarutobi stood up, took a drag of his cigarette, put his hands behind his back, and said, Redeem Orochimaru and let him take over the Hokage position. The dissatisfaction with him in the village was getting worse and worse, and the Fire Country daimyo had begun to doubt his abilities because of his successive defeats. If the Hokage wasn't replaced soon, they would withdraw their aid to Konoha. So, it's time to change. Although his best choice was Jiraiya, especially after the victory in this war, and the villagers' higher regard for Jiraiya, since the war ended, Jiraiya had vanished. Therefore, among the three candidates, Orochimaru was also a good choice. I'm old, Hiruzen Sarutobi said with a contented smile, gazing out the window. Where leaves dance, fire will never die. The firelight will continue to illuminate the village and allow new leaves to sprout. It's time to give the opportunity to the younger generation. The words had barely left his lips, when Danzo, who had been listening to Hiruzen Sarutobi's speech with half-closed eyes, suddenly slammed his fist on the table and stood up. I don't agree. Chapter 1. Chapter 374 Uchiha Madara. February 20th, Konoha year 44. The heavy snow had completely melted, and the roads of the land of whirlpools had been thoroughly cleared yesterday. Today was the first day of school at the academy, and also the second day since Madara's passing. All the students, whether graduates or not, gathered early on the academy's training ground, their faces filled with respect, quietly watching the coffin lying in the center. Following Mikado's request, she wanted Madara to be able to see the academy one last time, because she knew that although Madara always had a stoic expression at the academy, he was truly happy. Everyone calmly stared at the stage, listening to the headmaster read the eulogy. Madara, his life was glorious, respectable, and full of honor. He quelled the chaos of the Warring States period, founded Konoha, and always strived to find peace in the ninja world. Perhaps. Uzumaki-jun looked at the students before him, their eyes wide, and silently apologized to Madara. You won, Madara. So, why the secrecy? If even those who like you, respect you, and admire you don't know your name after you die, then what's the point? So, I'm sorry. He made mistakes and did wrong things, but his contributions to the ninja world cannot be denied. In his old age, he became a professor in the land of whirlpools, making outstanding contributions to the land of whirlpools education and cultivating a large number of excellent ninjas. Uzumaki-jun said with a smile. Perhaps he had a grumpy face, spoke harshly, and liked to curse, but he was still an excellent teacher. As soon as he finished speaking, the people below unconsciously revealed a slight smile, especially those who had once been Madara's students, whose eyes unconsciously became moist. So, don't forget him. It wasn't just Hashirama Senju, the god of shinobi, who ended the Warring States period. It wasn't just Hashirama Senju, the god of shinobi, who founded Konoha. It wasn't just Hashirama Senju, the god of shinobi, who contributed to the peace of the shinobi world. It wasn't just Hashirama Senju, the god of shinobi, who tirelessly searched for a path to peace. There was another person. One with a terrible reputation. One forgotten by the world. One who should have died long ago. Emotionless. Uzumaki-jun stared down. He is Uchiha Madara. As soon as he finished speaking, he pulled back the white curtain covering the statue. There it was. A statue appeared, holding a large fan in his left hand and a scythe in his right, sitting cross-legged on a tailed beast with 9 tails, a slight smile on his lips, and cold eyes fixed on the statue before him. Wow! Instantly, everyone stared at the statue in disbelief, especially upon hearing the name Uchiha Madara. So, Master Madara was Uchiha Madara. The infamous Uchiha Madara of the shinobi world. Don't get excited. Jiraiya and Orochimaru quickly pulled Tsunade back, saying, he's gone, nothing you do will change anything. Besides, Professor Madara didn't do anything bad in the land of whirlpools. He knew about the relationship between the Senju and Uchiha clans, especially the love-hate relationship between Hashirama Senju and Madara Uchiha, a truly poignant early history of the ninja village. Hearing that Madara Uchiha was still alive, Tsunade was naturally excited. Let go. Tsunade punched Jiraiya away, saying calmly, I didn't mean to do anything. I was just a little surprised to hear that Madara Uchiha was still alive. Her gaze was fixed intently on the statue. She couldn't believe that the person revered in the academy was actually Madara Uchiha. No wonder she felt a sense of familiarity when she saw him. But, didn't her great-grandfather say that he was already dead? What exactly happened? Tsunade was filled with doubt and wanted to rush up to the platform to question the smiling Uzumaki-jun. But looking at the incredulous faces of the students around her, she clenched her fists and sighed inwardly. I'll ask after it's over. The hatred between the Senju and Uchiha clans should have ended long ago. Sure enough. Grandpa Madara? Uchiha Madara? Mikado was stunned when she heard Uzumaki-jun's words, then her lips curled up slightly as she murmured, I didn't expect Grandpa Madara to be from the Uchiha clan. No wonder he knew so much about Uchiha ninjutsu and taijutsu. No wonder he was so good to her. Looking at Itachi, who was still sleeping in her arms, her eyes curved into a smile. Grandpa Madara, it really is Grandpa. Uchiha Itachi was also stunned, muttering in disbelief, holy crap, no wonder I felt like I knew Chief Madara so well. That poker face was all too common in the clan. He nudged Senju Shinju, who was standing there in a daze, and said casually, this time, the Uchiha won. Senju Shinju rolled his eyes, shook off his hand, and said nothing. Then, he stared blankly at the statue. He never imagined that the one who taught him, a member of the Senju clan, was actually the ancestor of the Uchiha clan. A slight smile appeared on his lips as he murmured, Chief Madara. Uzumaki-jun looked at the statue of Uchiha Madara beside him with satisfaction. This was a statue he had specially commissioned from Tazuna, a master architect and sculptor from the land of whirlpools, to be meticulously carved using the finest stone. He had started preparing it when Madara was contemplating suicide. He sighed inwardly. Uzumaki-jun knew that now that Madara's true identity had been revealed, it would definitely cause a shockwave throughout the entire ninja world tomorrow. After all, if Hashirama hadn't stopped him back then, Madara would have already crushed the entire ninja world. So, now, the 5 great ninja villages, including Konoha, all have a grudge against Madara. And this grudge, from this moment on, has been taken over by the land of whirlpools. Looking at Madara lying beside him, following Madara's wishes, he could simply be buried in some desolate wilderness. If that wasn't possible, cremation would suffice, since he was all alone and it was best not to disturb others. Madara probably considered the uproar the ninja world would cause if they knew he was still alive, and made this decision to avoid trouble for the land of whirlpools. But, he was the renownedly benevolent and kind-hearted daimyo of the land of whirlpools. How could he possibly agree to Madara's request? This hatred, the land of whirlpools would accept it. Uzumaki looked at the black-clad Shiki and the others before him. These were Madara's most prized disciples. The burial, it would be their responsibility. They were the most qualified. It was time to bury Madara. February, Konoha year 44. The fact that the land of whirlpools had secretly harbored the ninja world sinner, Uchiha Madara, was exposed. Countless ninja villages that had been attacked by Uchiha Madara in the past began to tremble, but when they heard that Uchiha Madara was dead, truly dead of old age, they started jumping out again, condemning the land of whirlpools for violating the ninja code of ethics and harboring terrorists, demanding compensation from the land of whirlpools for the losses caused to the various ninja villages by Madara Uchiha. However, get lost. That was the official statement from the land of whirlpools. No money, and if you're still not convinced, we'll beat you until you submit. Everyone was instantly enraged, but remembering the 5 great ninja villages crossing the sea to attack the land of whirlpools, and the result, a mountain of debt, they could only silently condemn the land of whirlpools in their hearts. Chapter 2, That's All There's a Group, join if you're interested. Chapter 375 The Situation in the Ninja World. 5 days have passed since Madara's death, and winter has also passed for 5 days. Uzumaki-jun kept his promise to Madara, neither stopping Tobi from leaving nor checking where Tobi was hiding. Therefore, he has absolutely no idea where Tobi went, or even if he's still alive, or if he's been blackened and exterminated. He doesn't know. However, the consequences of his unauthorized revelation of Madara's true identity have been somewhat unexpected. For example, the relationship between Uchiha Shin and Uchiha Madara. Remember the Madara he impersonated a long time ago? Although he was eventually exposed by the 3rd Tsuchikage, people can't help but overthink things. Especially that night when he dressed up as Madara and danced gracefully. Although he was a bit short, that's how it is when people get old, like Hiruzen Sarutobi, Inoki, and Danzo. It's unavoidable. So, Inoki now deeply suspects that the short Mangekyou Sharingan he encountered back then wasn't Shin Uchiha but Madara Uchiha, and the lie he made up back then. The stolen ninja sword might be the fire sword that the land of whirlpools was auctioning off. Otherwise, why hasn't Shin Uchiha appeared after so long? But suddenly Madara Uchiha appeared in the land of whirlpools, and a small island nation even has a legendary ninja sword being auctioned off. So, it must have been Madara Uchiha who did it. Inoki was filled with hatred. His clan, which originally possessed the strength to unify the ninja world, was gone just like that. Although the village has suffered heavy losses and dares not start a war recklessly, he still dares to shout a few words. Especially the honey that the land of whirlpools is promoting. The taste is exactly the same as the one he tasted in the Uzumaki clan back then. This is undeniable proof. A declaration of justice was immediately issued. The Uzumaki clan has always belonged to Iwagakure, an inseparable part of the village. However, due to Madara Uchiha's unauthorized abduction, the Uzumaki clan was displaced and unable to return to the village. Furthermore, Madara Uchiha stole Iwagakure's ninja swords, infringing upon the village's interests and causing severe damage. Therefore, compensation. The ninja swords don't need to be returned by Uzumaki, just compensation and the return of the people will suffice. However, Uzumaki still refused to cooperate. Although their domestic ninja swords were already mass-produced, getting them for free was simply a pipe dream. As for Kumagakure, the newly appointed fourth Raikage, along with his underlings, was eyeing Konoha. After all, his father was killed by Konoha, how could a son not seek revenge? The Gold and Silver brothers, who dared to challenge the Raikage last time, are still in solitary confinement. As for Konoha, while the Hidden Cloud village is generous, they also hold grudges, so, they're watching, quietly watching. After all, now is really not the right time to start a war. It's said that to prevent any further accidents, the Hidden Cloud village has deployed a large number of spies to Konoha, intending to investigate how many Genin Konoha is hiding. A Genin actually had the strength to kill the Raikage. It's truly terrifying to think about. Even in the legendary Ninja Sword Research Institute newly established in the Land of Rain, a group of Iwa and Sand ninjas would occasionally inquire about how many Genin Konoha had, to prepare them mentally and calculate the gap between them and Konoha. In short, Konoha has become famous again. Insidious, cunning, hypocritical, etc. A wave of praise for Konoha resounded throughout the ninja world. As for the rumors that the village is out of people and they need to redeem Orochimaru to become Hokage, that's definitely a smokescreen released by Konoha. A show of weakness. Otherwise, any random Genin from Konoha could easily crush a cage, so how could there be no one? They've investigated, that green-skinned, bearded man really is a Genin. A Genin ridiculed by all the ninjas of Konoha. Therefore, the other ninja villages also turned their attention to the unpopular Genin in Konoha, preparing to investigate Konoha's true strength. After all, it was agreed that after the death of the god of shinobi and his brother, the strength of each ninja village would be roughly equal. Why would Konoha secretly train Genin? No need to guess, there must be a conspiracy. Then, rumors started circulating from somewhere and grew increasingly rampant, basically claiming that all of Konoha's Genin possessed cage-level strength, hiding so deeply in preparation for unifying the ninja world. Therefore, amidst these strange rumors and the powerful rise of the Land of Whirlpools, a strange peace prevailed in the ninja world. No one dared to act recklessly anymore. They had all agreed to work together to maintain peace in the ninja world, but, you bastards were secretly accumulating power to unify the ninja world. This is utterly inhuman. And Konoha, they were completely bewildered. Because even they themselves didn't know that the green-skinned Genin, who was often mocked, was actually so tough, possessing the strength to beat the Raikage to death, yet he was still acting like a coward in the village. His love for the village was truly profound. Therefore, Konoha publicly declared that it was all an accident. He really was just a Genin. However, no one listened to any of this. February 25th, Konoha year 44. Everything outside had nothing to do with the Land of Whirlpools. Madara's death, although it had a great impact on the ninja world, returned to its usual rhythm after the funeral. Well, a handsome statue of Madara, the boss, standing tall and imposing, has appeared in the center of the academy. So, Konoha only wants to pay to redeem Orochimaru? Uzumaki-jun looked at Uzumaki Hibiki with a strange expression and said, they don't want anyone else? You have to understand how many Genin, Chunin, and Junin there are. Could Konoha really have some hidden power that makes them look down on these ninjas? He knew about the Sarutobi army, but, he didn't know about the others. Uzumaki Hibiki paused, adjusted her glasses, and said, Konoha didn't say that, they just said they don't have enough funds right now and hope to redeem them next time. After all, post-war reparations plus dozens, hundreds of specially made, high-end chakra cannons made from the ultimate essence. Konoha is really going to be bankrupt. They heard that this money was borrowed from the Land of Fire on the condition that Sarutobi heroes and abdicated. Especially after several rounds of legendary ninja swords being used, and the purchase of special military equipment, Konoha is probably really going to go bankrupt. Of course, the Konoha representative also inquired whether, given the close relationship between Konoha and the Land of Whirlpools, they could offer a discount. I completely ignored them. It's said that the finance minister, who was negotiating nearby, almost drew his sword upon hearing this. I see. Uzumaki soon narrowed his eyes, a slight smile playing on his lips, and said, "Tell Konoha that the Land of Whirlpools has agreed." But, why hasn't Genzo shown his power yet? He knew he'd be helpless if Orochimaru returned. Could it be, he's really changed? Understood, I'll arrange it later. Seeing Soon's expression, Uzumaki Hibiki knew. Soon was about to cause trouble again. Late February, Konoha year 44. A commoner, because his dog had run into the back mountains of Konoha, chased after it to find his beloved pet, only to discover a hole in the ground. Although frightened, thinking of his dog whom he had raised for many years and still hadn't found, the commoner took a deep breath and rushed in without hesitation. The result, a corpse. Corpses littered the ground. Some were even decomposed. It was horrifying. The civilians were so frightened, they abandoned their own dogs and rushed out to report to the Konoha ninjas. After a thorough investigation, whatever happened, the next day, rumors inexplicably spread throughout Konoha that Orochimaru, the soon-to-be Hokage, had violated the ninja world's humanitarian laws by conducting inhumane human experiments. Suddenly, all the missing persons cases in Konoha over the past few years were arbitrarily attributed to Orochimaru. Discontent and anger sparked massive protests in Konoha, demanding that the Hokage remove Orochimaru from the position, arrest him, and bring justice to the innocent victims. It's said that that day, a batch of teacups were replaced in the Hokage's office. Chapter 1. End of this chapter. Thank you so much for reading until the end. Don't forget to give it a like. Looking for more exclusive content and immediate access? Subscribe to our Patreon. Remember, every like, subscription or donation encourages us to continue. Thank you all. See you in the next video.